Hello everyone, and welcome to another amazing part of What If Deku Ran an Orphanage? This amazing story was written by Kyodon. Please support them. Don't forget to like, sub, and leave a comment. Now let's dive in. Chapter 357, Like No One Ever Was. The time has come for the second round of our ground competition. Kiba shouted. Our first team. The combination of dark and light. Of joy and sorrow. It's Yami and Amai. Yami and Amai walked up on stage, to the screaming applause of everyone, namely, Seikyo. Mom, Dad, do your best, she shouted from the stands. Still never gonna get used to hearing her call us that. Amai thought, fighting a fierce blush as she took her place next to Yami at the table. And now, ladies and gentlemen, give us your applause, for the next team is Dash. Kiba then leaped straight through the window of the commenters box, all the way to the stage, before raising her arm up toward the sky, causing Hinata in sword form to shoot down into her hand. Me! And Hinata. That's right, the mighty queen of eternal darkness and her vampiric blade will be the next to battle. Expect an exciting match, no matter the result. Ni said. Hinata took her human form and sat next to Kiba. I hope you two don't feel too badly, Lady Kiba, and I defeat you. Amai grinned. Bring it, scrub. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Bat it. Crobat roared as it steeled itself for battle. Provide assistance. Incineroar. Hinata tossed out her Pokemon, and Incineroar took the stage. Roar. Incineroar stuck a pose, ready to brawl. Let's win this, Absol. Amai threw out her Pokemon, sending Absol onto the battlefield. Soul. Absol purred. Do your best, Pecky. Yami tossed out his Pokemon, revealing that it was none other than Morpeko. Peck. She cheered. Immediately, both Pecky and Absol had their attack lowered by Incineroar's intimidation. Gotta say, was not expecting that kind of Pokemon from you, Yami, he said. She reminds me of Amai, Yami stated casually in his typical matter-of-fact tone of voice, ignoring how it made Amai break out into a blush. And Absol reminds me of Yami, Amai added sheepishly. Oh, cooed the crowd. Just got married already. Kyoko shouted from the sidelines. Enough romantics. Knees. Begin the battle. Kiba commanded. Right, begin. Knees shouted. Taunt Pecky/Incineroar, Yami and Hinata shouted at the same time. PCK/CIN. Pecky and Incineroar motioned for their opponent to come at them, making them glow red, disabling their non-attacking moves. TCH. Hinata gave a shameful blush before leaning over and whispering to Kiba. Lady Kiba, most of my moves are made useless by taunt, please help me take out the hamster first. Very well. Bloodwing. Use Shadow Ball on Pecky. Kiba commanded. Aid her with Flare Blitz. Hinata added. Crow. Bat. Crobat brought its wings together, charging up a ball of ghostly power, before launching it at Morpeko, while Incineroar engulfed its body in flames, and charged in behind the ball. Yami looked at Amai and nodded before giving his command. Dodge the ball, then counter with Aura Wheel. Swords dance. Amai added. Soul. Swords appeared over Absol's head and started dancing above him, giving him a twofold boost to their attack. Peck. Morpeko shouted as it switched from full belly to hangry mode, then created a hamster wheel of dark energy, and started charging toward the attacks, moving around the Shadow Ball, before ramming right into the blitzing Incineroar. Boom! The impact of two powerful moves colliding made a powerful explosion and a huge cloud of smoke. Roar! More! Incineroar and Morpeko were spat out back to their sides of the arenas, both banged up a bit, and Morpeko had shifted back to full belly mode. Absol. Swords dance again. Amai said, using her opponent's tunnel vision to try and set up twice. I won't allow it. Leech life. Kiba ordered. Stop them with Aura Wheel. Yami countered. Crobat. Crobat flew toward Absol, as they were performing a second swords dance, but before they could reach them, Pecky created another wheel, this time made of electricity, and rammed into Crobat, dealing heavy super effective damage to the bat, and giving Absol enough time to finish using swords dance. Now! Finish them with Night Slash. Amai commanded. Absol. Absol's head sickle started glowing, and they rushed toward Crobat, to deal the finishing blow. Fly! Kiba shouted in a panic. Just in the nick of time, Crobat flew up into the air, and as Absol swung, they hit nothing but air, missing completely. I won't allow you to threaten Lady Kiba. Incineroar Flare Blitz Absol. Hinata dictated. And then follow up by striking them down from above. Kiba added. Roar. Incineroar once again burst into flames, and rushed toward Absol, while Crobat waited in the air. Stop Incineroar with Aura Wheel. Go for the legs. Yami countered. Pecky switched back to hangry mode, and created another wheel of dark energy, before shooting off with incredible quickness, its speed having been boosted twice by Aura Wheel's previous uses. Peck, peck, peck. Morpeko roared, before ramping into Incineroar's legs, making it trip and fall on its face. Yami looked over to Amai and pointed up at Crobat. Got it. Absol, give Pecky a boost. Amai ordered. Absol nodded before turning and lowering its head. Pecky switched modes, then jumped onto Absol's head sickle, and Absol catapulted Pecky into the air, soaring toward Crobat. Aura Wheel, Yami ordered. Use agility to dodge. Kiba commanded. Peck. Pecky once again created another electric wheel, and headed straight toward Crobat, but just before they could reach, Crobat's body glowed blue, and he flew to the side just in time, causing Morpeko to fly up into the sky, hitting nothing. And now you're helpless. Bloodwing, hit them with as many shadow balls as you can. Kiba ordered. Bat. 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 Crobat quickly charged up shadow balls and launched them at Pecky, each one hitting the hamstermon, as it was unable to move in the air. Peck. 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 Pecky hissed as it took each one. They didn't do much damage due to being not very effective, but they still hurt, especially when he was taking so many of them. Amai looked up. This wasn't good. Pecky was a sitting duck up there and she had no way of helping them, at least not directly. Lady Kiba, I'm disappointed in you, Amai said in her smug gamer voice. Huh? Kiba and Hinata said, Kiba sounding confused and Hinata enraged. All you've been doing this whole battle is running away. I didn't take you for such a coward. Amai taunted. Kiba scowled. Coward? I'll show you. Bloodwing, take back what was ours and hit Pecky with leech life. Hinata's eyes widened as she quickly realized what Amai was getting at. Wait, no Lady Kiba, it's a trap. But it was too late. Bloodwing opened its maw, its fangs glowing green, and it quickly rushed toward Pecky, intent on taking a super effective bite. Meanwhile, in the stands, Fu chuckled. Idiot. Counter with outrage, Yami ordered. As soon as Bloodwing got close, Pecky spun their body around in the air, switching to hangry mode, their body glowing with draconic energy, as they slammed their paw down onto Bloodwing's head, sending them careening down toward the ground. Absol. End them with Night Slash. Amai ordered. Soul. Abassal rushed toward the falling Crobat, their sickle glowing with malicious energy. Stop them. Flare Blitz. Hinata cried out desperately. Double team. Amai countered. As Incineroar's body became cloaked in flames, Absol created a bunch of clones around them, all running toward Crobat. Incineroar rushed at them, ramming at one of the Absols, but it was merely a clone, allowing Absol to leap forward and slash Crobat. Soul. Absol landed, and held their head up with pride, as Crobat fell to the ground behind them, with swirls in their eyes. Amai and Yami's perfect teamwork has left Bloodwing seeing stars. And now Team Amai and Yami have the advantage. Knees announced. As Yami and Amai high-fived, and Kiba returned Bloodwing to their Pokeball, Hinata fell to her knees. To have Lady Kiba's Pokemon fall before even mine. I've truly failed. Kiba put a reassuring hand on her back. Don't be disheartened, it was my fault for falling for such an obvious trap. But let's not sink into despair yet. We still have 3 Pokemon left. Right. Hinata quickly stood up, slapped her cheeks, and got her mind back in the game. I won't disappoint you again, my lady. You haven't disappointed me once, Kiba told her, before sending out her next Pokemon. Come out, Blood Edge. Bursting from Kiba's Pokeball, was her final Pokemon, Kingambit. King! Kingambit cried out, crossing his arms as he sat on his strange hair chair, holding an intimidating presence. As soon as Morpeko hit the ground, they immediately changed forms and rushed toward Kingambit, still rampaging due to the effects of outrage. Kiba just smirked. Now it's our turn, retaliate. Oh! Absol, stop Morpeko right now. Amai ordered. Morpeko charged at Kingambit, while Absol tried to follow from behind, and Kingammit's head blade started glowing white. As Pecky lunged, Kingambit raised its head up, and then slammed it down in front of him, only to barely miss, as Absol had caught up just in time, bit Morpeko's foot and pulled them back, then threw them all the way back to their side of the battlefield. Pecky landed on his back, snapping out of outrage, but now being afflicted with confusion. Now! Hit Absol with Flare Blitz. Hinata ordered. Roar! Incineroar burst into flames once more and charged at the Absol that had just saved Pecky, jumped up, and body slammed onto them, hitting them hard enough to crater the battlefield, and pinning Absol underneath the wrestler cat. Push them off and get some distance, Absol, then use double team again, I shouted. Soul. Absol pushed themselves up, and shook Incineroar off, only able to do this because of the immense strength they'd gotten from their 2 sword dances. Now free, it ran a few yards away from its opponents and summoned more illusory clones. That won't work. Blood Edge. Strike true with Kyodon cleave. Kiba ordered. Gambit. Blood Edge raised its head, as the blade on top glowed with dark energy, before he lowered his head, and went flying toward Absol, landing the hit and slicing Absol, knocking it back and doing loads of damage. Soul. Absol struggled to get back on its feet, fighting through the pain to get back up. Absol was not a defensive Pokemon, and 2 strong hits like that left it with little HP to spare. There's no hiding from my blade. Kiba proclaimed. Now again. Kyodon dash. Swagger. Yami ordered, biting his lower lip as he prayed Pecky wouldn't succumb to confusion. Peck? Peek. Pecky swayed a bit, but eventually, they changed modes and puffed out their chest, causing Kingamit's attack to rise and for them to become confused. King? Kingambit gained swirls in their eyes and started swaying like a drunkard. It looks like Yami's taking, and excuse my pun, Gambit, by using swagger. Will this knock the king from their throne, or place the crown on their head? Knees declared. Guess you could say it's a double-edged sword. Kay shouted from the stands. This is nothing. All you've done is sharpen my blade. Finish the Absol with Kyodon cleave. Kiba ordered confidently. Incineroar taunt Pecky. Hinata added, realizing the effects of the previous taunts had worn off. Roar. Incineroar beckoned Pecky to come at them, disabling their non-attacking moves again. Meanwhile, Blood Edge raised its head up, blowing up its blade with Dark-type energy, and rushing toward Absol. Jump up and parry it with X-Scissor. Amai ordered. Soul. Absol ran toward Kingambit, their blade glowing green with insect power. When they got close, Absol leaped into the air before diving down at Kingambit, and both Pokemon let their blades fly at each other. Clang! Their blades clashed, and Absol was sent flying back, successfully keeping themselves from taking damage, as they landed gracefully on their feet. I require more power. Hinata, provide me a helping hand. Kiba requested. But my lady, if they hit themselves after I increased their power, it could do disastrous damage to Blood Edge. Hinata warned. Fear not. I have faith Blood Edge will overcome this vexing confusion. And strike true once more. Kiba proclaimed. Very well, as you command my lady. Incineroar. Helping hand. Hinata ordered. Roar. Incineroar gave Blood Edge a pat on the back, causing their body to burst with power. Now finish that Absol once and for all. Kyodon cleave. Kiba ordered. Kaining. Blood Edge stood up and held their blade up high. Slam. And then slammed their head into the ground, literally embedding it into the floor of the battlefield, and doing massive self-inflicted damage to Blood Edge. Curses! Kiba cried. Now! Finish them with X-Scissor. Amai shouted. Help them. Or a wheel. Yami added. More /soul. Morpeko snapped out of confusion, changed forms again, and charged forward in a wheel of electricity, while Absol's blade turned green, and they also charged at Kingambit. Get out of there, Blood Edge! Kiba commanded, but it was no use. They'd embedded their head and blade in the ground so thoroughly that they were struggling to pull it out, leaving them a sitting duck for the combined attack. Incineroar. Protect Blood Edge with your life. Hinata ordered. Just before Pecky and Absol close in and finish the king off, Incineroar threw themselves on top of Kingambit and took both hits for them. Boom! The force of both attacks hitting at once, creating an explosive force that kicked up another cloud of dirt and dust, once again obscuring the Pokemon from sight. Pecky and Absol leaped out and stared down the cloud, as they and everyone else waited to see what was past it. Although everyone already knew. And when the dust settled, everyone saw what they expected. A knocked-out Incineroar, lying on top of Kingambit. And so the noble warrior sacrificed themselves for their king, making this a 2-on-4. Will this sacrifice provide the king the power they need to overcome these odds? Or is this kingdom doomed to fall? Knees announced. My apologies for not doing more, Lady Kiba, Hinata mumbled sadly, as she recalled her Pokemon. Nonsense. You and Incineroar gave everything you had for my Pokemon, now it's my turn to live up to your expectations. Kiba proclaimed. Now send in your next Pokemon, it's time to strike back. Yes. Hinata took out her next Pokeball and threw out her final Pokemon. Aid Her Majesty, Togekiss. Kiss. Togekiss cried as she was released from her Pokeball and took to the sky. King. Blood Edge finally managed to pull its head and blade out of the ground, also snapping itself out of confusion. Now, no more confusion. Kyodon cleave. Finish Absol, Kiba ordered. King Gambit. King Gambit once again proudly raised its blade up high, glowing with dark energy, and they charged toward Absol. Leap and parry with X-Sire again. Amai said. Soul. Absol's blade glowed green again, and they charged toward Blood Edge, ready to repeat its previous parrying maneuver. Use Follow Me. Hinata ordered. Kiss. Togekiss started glowing, and suddenly that glow completely enraptured Absol, and instead of jumping up to parry Blood Edge, they tried to run around them, to attack Togekiss. But Blood Edge swerved its head and smacked it down with its blade, slamming it into the ground and stopping its charge. Solul. Absol cried out in pain before passing out. And finally, Absol has fallen. A big blow to Team Amai and Yami. Is this a sign that the tables are turning? Niz asked. That's annoying. We were so close to taking out Kiba's final Pokemon, and now the Togekiss is going to make that hard for us. Amai noted as she recalled Absol. It's no problem, Yamo assured her. I'll switch out, then back in. Oh, right. That solves everything. Amai felt kinda dumb for not remembering such an obvious solution. It was a solid blow to her gamer pride, even if she'd never really played Pokemon or games like it until now. Okay then, let's show them power in numbers, Moshold. She threw her Pokeball out, and a family of 4 cartoon mice popped out. Mouse. Pecky return. Yami recalled Pecky, then took out their other Pokemon and threw them out. Come out, Bellossom. Loss. Bellossom popped out with a cheer and a smile. Now come back. Yami immediately returned Bellossom to their Pokemon and sent Pecky back out. Get back out, Pecky. Peck. Pecky pounded its chest, ready to continue battle now free from the effect of taunt. Knowing what was coming, Hinata quickly threw out an order. Use Thunder Wave on Moshold. Get behind Pecky. Amai ordered. Use Taunt on Togekiss. Yami commanded. Charge in and use Goltanu on Pecky. Kiba shouted. Kiss. Togekiss launched electric rings at Masuhold, but the family of mice lined up behind Pecky, who signaled for Togekiss to come at them, disabling its ability to use status moves. The waves hit Pecky but did nothing, Pecky's electric type preventing it from being paralyzed. But while all that was happening, Blood Edge's blade glowed white, and extended to an absurd length, before they lowered the head, aiming the blade at Pecky, and thus rushing toward them, for an attempt at a one-hit KO. However, its extremely low speed gave Amai and Yami plenty of time to react. Throw Pecky up into the sky, scatter, then use Copycat. Amai ordered. Hold. Each one of the mice grabbed onto Pecky, tossed them into the air, and then scattered into 4 diagonal directions, so by the time Blood Edge arrived he hit anything, and was surrounded by all 4 mice. Maya. All 4 of them had their claws, which were so tiny and noticeable at first, grow to a significant length, before lunging at Blood Edge. Dodge them. Kiba desperately cried. Blood Edge looked around for any way to escape, but he'd been boxed in, and had no way to avoid the mice as they set upon him, and stuck him with their claws. Slice. Their claws hit the King Gambit, hard enough to crater the ground, before they bounced back up, then landed on their feet. And Blood Edge simply collapsed. One shot by his own one-shot move. And Blood Edge the King Gambit is no longer able to battle. Is 3-on-1. And even worse, that taunt isn't going to wear off any time soon. Is this the end? Niz asked. Curse my lack of caution. Kiba hissed as she returned Blood Edge to their Pokeball. Lady Kiba, I can only use one move? What should I do? Hinata asked in a solemn voice. Kiba sighed and then placed a hand on her servant's shoulder. Your best. Moshold. Tidy up. Amai ordered. Mouse, 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 mouse. All 4 mice gathered together pulled some tiny brooms out of nowhere, and started cleaning up the battlefield around them, magically making the whole thing spotless as they also increased their speed and physical attack power. Air slash the mice. Hinata ordered. Togekiss. Togekiss flew up and unleashed a blade of air that flew down toward Moshold. Take the attack, Yami ordered. As Masuhold finished up cleaning, and the air slash came right at them, Pecky jumped in front of them, taking the attack for not very effective damage. However, it did cause them to flinch, keeping them from moving for a moment. Moshold, get in close and use Population Bomb. Amai commanded. Stop them with air slash. Hinata countered. Dodge them. Amai added. Hold. Moshold rushed out from behind Pecky and ran toward Togekiss, who fired consecutive air slashes at them, but the tiny, quick-footed mice easily dodged each one, before finally getting in range. The mice held their hands over their head and created copies of themselves, that they hurled up at Togekiss. Dodge them. Hinata ordered. Kiss. Togekiss flew through the air, dodging the fake mice that were being thrown at it, until finally, one managed to hit. Boom. The fake mouse exploded, knocking Togekiss out of the air and making them crash to the ground. Now bomb them until they faint. A mice said. Ma'awawis, hold. The mice cheered, as they relentlessly threw fake bomb mice at the downed Togekiss, again, and again, and again. Boom! 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 After the 10th bomb, they stopped, looking into the smoke cloud left behind by their attacks. And when the smoke subsided, it revealed a fainted Togekiss. Togekiss is unable to battle. That makes Yami and Amai the winners. Ni shouted. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Kiba. Lady Kiba, please forgive me. I could not help you attain victory. I've tarnished your proud name with defeat. Please punish me for my failure. Kiba kneeled down and gave Hinata an deadpan look. Hinata, it was a game of Pokemon, it's not that serious. Chapter 358, To catch them is my real test. Well, that was disappointing. Kiba sighed as she returned to the commenter's spot. But no matter. Congratulations, Amai and Yami. Now, for the third match. First up, we have our top designers. The insect queens at the top of the world of fashion. Kano and Shiruku. Nis shouted. Kano and Shiruku strutted over to the main stage. Both of them were wearing special Pokemon-themed outfits. Shiruku cosplayed Ariados, and thus wore a red and black dress, with yellow and blue striped leggings over her spider legs, and a headband that allowed a single horn to protrude from her forehead. Meanwhile, Kano's outfit was inspired by Buzzwole, being primarily just a red dress, but decorated with patches of hardened red gel. Kano sighed as she took her seat. I still really wish there were more mosquito-themed Pokemon. Come now, you've made that concept look fabulous. Shiruku reassured her. And now for their opponents. Kiba continued. The gentle giant Otoko and his partner. The psychotic psychic? The devil of the Midoriya house. The one who twists the truth. The definition of a problem child. Yonda. Laying it on a bit thick, aren't you, Lady K? Nis said with a nervous chuckle, while Yonda and Otoko walked onto the stage. Buh! Shouted some of the crowd, namely Ken, aka Yaba, and especially Yoshina. I wish you didn't do so many bad things so people would stop saying things like that. Otoko admitted. You're not that bad of a person. And I'm so happy you think that, my friend. Yonda responded as they both took their seats. And now that all contestants are here, let the battle begin. Nis shouted. Let's put on a show, Spinner. Shiruku shouted as she sent out her first Pokemon, Spitups. Dops. Spitups roared as it took the field. Show them true beauty, Frostmoth. Kano announced as she released her Pokemon. Frost. Frostmoth cooed as it took to the sky. Let's do our best, Trevenant, Otoko said as he sent out his Mons. Trevenant hit the ground and let off a mighty roar. Show them out power Meowstic, Yonda said, letting her psychic cat out for battle. Meow. Male Meowstic purred as he took the field. Now, use light screen. Then reflect. Yonda ordered immediately. Meow. Meowstic opened its ears, unleashing its power, and created a light screen force field around them and their teammate. Thanks to the added quickness from their prankster ability, they did it again, creating a reflect force field around them and their partner, reducing damage from both special and physical attacks. Show them the beauty of snow. Snow's cape. Kano commanded. And set up sticky webs on their side. Shiruku added. Moth. Frostmoth's body glowed white, before unleashing a geyser of cold energy up into the sky, hitting the clouds. Moments later, a heavy snowstorm started coming down, changing the previous weather completely. Meanwhile, Spinner jumped up and started shooting down patches of webs onto the opposite side of the arena, forcing the enemy Pokemon to dodge lest it slow them down. Use Phantom Force on Frostmoth. Otoko ordered. Trevenant opened a shadowy portal behind him and backed into it. The portal closed, leaving Trevenant completely untraceable. Meowstic return. Yonda aimed her Pokeball at her Pokemon, shooting out a red beam that brought them back into the little red and white sphere before she then brought out her next Pokemon. Your turn, Malamar. Mar. And so Malamar came out, with a mischievous grin on their beak. As the light screen and reflect transferred to them, they landed on one of the webs, but instead of slowing down, their speed increased, thanks to Malamar's ability, Contrary. No more of that. Toxic spikes. Shiruku ordered. Aurora Veil. Kano added. Spinner raised his arms up, creating a bundle of toxic spikes, and threw them onto the other side of the arena. Meanwhile, Frostmoth flew high up into the sky, and let off a beautiful rainbow glow that covered them and Spinner in a multicolored force field. This was just in the nick of time, as a portal opened above Frostmoth, and Trevenant slammed its fist down on the icy moth, making them crash into the ground, Trevenant falling right beside them, and holding them down. Spinner, free Frostmoth at once with leech life. Shiruku ordered. Dops. Spitups jumped up, shot a web at Trevenant, then reeled themselves in, propelling themselves toward the haunted tree at top speed. Will-o-wisp. Otoko ordered. Blizzard. Kano added. Trevenant opened his mouth, and small blue flames appeared, ready to fire at Spitups, but then suddenly, from below its palm, a massive blast of cold air exploded out, hitting Trevenant point blank, freezing their body. The attack even traveled to Malamar and hit them, although it thankfully didn't cause them to freeze. This allowed Spitups to get onto Trevenant and bite down on them, doing even more super effective damage. Treve. Trevenant roared out in pain. It tried to move away, but most of its body was frozen in place, completely immobile. Malamar uses superpower on Trevenant. Yonda commanded. Mar. Malamar rushed forward with its increased speed, and smashed one of its tentacles into Trevenant, not doing any damage to Trevenant itself due to its ghost type, but breaking apart the ice that had trapped it. Shake off Spitups, and then use Leech Horn. Ant. Trevenant immediately started shaking its arm rapidly, eventually, throwing Spitups off and sending it flying into the air. Then, Trevenant grew a pair of greenhorns and got ready to charge at the seemingly helpless airborne spider. Silk Trap. Shuku countered. As Trevenant charged toward Spinner, Spinner quickly created a web shield in front of them, and when Trevenant slammed into it, they were bounced back, and also covered in webs, lowering their speed. Phantom Force. Otoko quickly commanded, knowing Trevenant was in hot water. Don't let them retreat. Sticky Web, the portal. Shiruku ordered. Trevenant created a portal and tried to rush into it, but its lowered speed gave Spitups just enough time to jump up and shoot a massive web that covered the portal, blocking Trevenant from entering. Blizzard. Kano ordered. Frostmoth flew up high and with a mighty flap of their wings, they let loose, and an unavoidable wave of wind and ice that smacked and shredded both Malamar and Trevenant. Good thing I set up Reflect and Light Screen or Trevenant would definitely have fainted from that. Yonda thought to herself, before speaking to Otoko. Take care of the moth, I'll deal with the spider. Trusting in Yonda's intelligence, Otoko nodded and gave his command. Phantom Force on Frostmoth. Stop them again with Sticky Web. Shiruku ordered. Don't let the spider interfere. Hit them with superpower. Yonda ordered. Trevenant opened another shadow portal, and Spinner jumped up to web it up, but Malamar rushed forward and grabbed one of their legs with their tentacle, and slammed them into the ground with superpower. Cracking the ground, although not doing much damage due to it being resisted. But it did provide Trevenant enough time to escape into their portal, and increased Malamar's physical attack and defense. Now put them under our spell. Hypnosis. Yonda followed up. Malamar. Malamar cooed, as they moved their tentacles around in an entrancing fashion. Leech Life. Shiruku ordered. SPI. Spitups lunged at Malamar, completely ignoring the hypnosis, and biting onto the upside-down squid's body, dealing quad-effective damage and healing what little damage they'd taken instantly. Mile. Malamar cried out in pain. Even with Reflect and an increased stage of defense. A 4-time effective move still hurts like heck. What? That hypnosis definitely hit, what's going on? Yonda demanded. Apologies, sister, but my spinner has insomnia, putting them to sleep is quite impossible. Shiruku gloated. Frostmoth, quiver dance. Then try to dodge the shadow force. Kano commanded while the other two were doing their own thing. Frost. Frostmoth danced in the air, flapping its wings gracefully, increasing their speed, special attack, and special defense. That's when another shadowy portal opened above them, and Trevenant dropped down on top of Frostmoth but was too slow, and the moth barely managed to get out of the way in time, causing Trevenant to hit the ground alone. Blizzard. Kano ordered. TCH. Launch Spinner off with superpower, then hide behind a substitute. Yonda ordered. Mar. Malamar used one of its tentacles, and smacked Spinner off them, slamming them into the ground, before creating a substitute in front of them. Moth. Frostmoth once again unleashed an undodgeable wave of harsh cold winds and ice that slammed into Trevenant, knocking him down, while Malamar's substitute took the hit for them, breaking apart in one hit. Finish them off. Leech Life Trevenant. Shiruku shouted. Fight them off with Horn Leech, Otoko ordered. Spitups. Spinner rushed toward the downed Trevenant, bearing its glowing fangs. Trevenant couldn't get on its feet in time, so it crawled toward Spinner with its arms, growing greenhorns and speeding toward its fore. Spinner tried to jump in and bite them, but Trevenant uppercut them with the horns, sending them flying and healing a smidge of HP for the tree monster. Blizzard. Kano ordered again. Phantom force them. Otoko ordered. Substitute. Yonda commanded. Use leech life on the substitute. Shiruku countered. Trevenant opened another portal and went through it. Meanwhile, Malamar set up another substitute to take the hit while Frostmoth got ready to unleash another blizzard, but then Spinner came in and bit into it, causing the substitute to immediately break apart. And at the same time, Reflect and Light Screen both timed out. Frostmoth unleashed another blizzard that slammed into Malamar full force, not only doing huge damage but also freezing it in place. Gah! Oh, phooey! Yonda seethed, as she accepted the inevitable fate of her poor Pokémon. Throw down another layer of toxic spikes, then finish off Malamar with leech life. Shiruku ordered. Spitups. Spitups once again raised its arms up, creating a bundle of toxic spikes before throwing them onto Yonda and Otoko's side of the battlefield once more. Then, they rushed forward, lunged at the frozen Malamar, and sunk their teeth into the bits of their unfrozen flesh. Malamar cried out in pain, before going limp, spirals appearing in their eyes. And Malamar is the first one to go down. Knees announced. Given its 4 times weakness, it's impressive they lasted as long as they did. Kiba praised. But having grass and psychic-type trainers combat 2 bug-type trainers seems like a losing battle. Not helped by the trap set. Will they be able to fight against these overwhelming odds, or succumb to bitter defeat? Yonda sighed as she returned her Pokémon and hesitantly took her next Pokeball. She paused again for a few seconds before throwing out Meowstick. Stick. Meowstick landed on the battlefield and immediately hissed in pain, as they landed on spider webs and toxic spikes, lowering their speed and poisoning them severely. Ant. Trevenant once again appeared above Frostmoth and tried to attack them, only for Frostmoth to dodge, causing Trevenant to fall toward the ground once more, just as the snow subsided. Will-o-wisp. Otoko ordered. Trevenant turned around as it was falling, opened its maw, and shot out little blue embers that slammed into it, setting its body alight with little fire that did bits of burn damage over time. Muff! Frostmoth cried out in pain from the burns, as the Aurora Veil also subsided at this time. Trevenant hit the ground, landing flat on its back, but that didn't bother it at all, and Otoko gave another command. Hex! Trevenant raised its arms up, and created a giant shadowy eyeball, before shooting it up at Frostmoth. Dodge! Kano commanded. Fire until you hit them, Otoko ordered in response. Muff! Frostmoth dodged the first hex, only for Trevenant to fire another, and another, forcing them to continue dodging while taking slight damage from burn. Spinner! Stop this assault with leech life! Shiruku shouted. Dops! Spinner rushed to help their ally, but Yonda wasn't having it. Use Psychic and throw them away, Yonda ordered. Stiayak! Meowstick opened their ears, revealing their hidden glowing eyes, and suddenly Spitups was raised into the air and slammed into the ground on the other side of the battlefield. Now use Psychic to hold Frostmoth in place. Yonda continued. Meow! Meowstick cried out both for their attack and in pain, as they were still being hurt drastically by poison. Frostmoth was suddenly held in place by psychic energy, allowing Trevenant to finally land a hex on them. Boom! The impact made a huge explosion, as well as a big cloud of smoke that lingered in the sky. Frostmoth fell out of the smoke and hit the ground. Moth! Let's finish them! Use Psychic and keep holding that moth in place. Yonda commanded. Hex them! Otoko added. Meow! Meowstick used their psychic powers to lift Frostmoth up, then slam them down, and pin them to the ground, while Trevenant charged up another hex. Blizzard! Kano shouted desperately. Moth! Frostmoth unleashed an explosion of cold in all directions around them, not even getting close to Meowstick, but slamming into Trevenant, collapsing their hex before it could fire, and knocking Trevenant over. Trevenant groaned before finally falling unconscious. Ah! They were so close. But Frostmoth managed to fly out from the jaws of death, and seize victory, and now Trevenant is no longer able to battle. Knees said. Defeat sets in ever closer. And things look dark for Yonda and Otoko. Kiba added. Otoko recalled his Pokémon, but before he sent in his next one, Yonda tapped his arm to get his attention. We're not going to win this. Yonda pointed out. If you wish to continue despite that, I will be with you, but I don't want to spend another 5 minutes fighting a battle I can't win. Otoko contemplated her words and the situation at hand before giving a nod. Yonda took a deep breath before shouting. We surrender. And there you have it. Team Shiruku and Kano win. Knees announced. Yeah, screamed the crowd, those who had been booing Yonda being especially jubilant. Yoshina, in particular, looks like she just won the lottery. Even Fu was giving a round of applause. Meanwhile, the four on stage exchanged handshakes, Otoko's wearing gloves. A wise decision, if I must say. Kano praised, while also looking smug as hell. Yes, there's no shame in knowing when you're beaten, Shiruku said, sounding just as smug. Yonda sighed. Well, there are worse people I could have lost to. Now excuse me, I need to go check on something. As the next match started up, Yonda took her seat in the stands, right next to Fu. Fu. Yonda. Fu replied with a bit of a smirk. I conducted some research and discovered something interesting. Yonda said in an overly bright tone and a super fake smile. To make sure this tournament was impartial, the ones who organized it were kids who weren't participating in it. And I learned that you had a part in deciding who got to fight who. Yup. Fu said casually, his smirk only growing. Did you, seriously? Rig the matches so me and Otoko would have to fight two people whom we'd stand no chance against? Yonda asked with a scoff. How petty. Says the war criminal. Fu pointed out. Touché, but what about Otoko, don't you think it was a bit cruel to set him up just to get to me? Yonda asked with blatantly false righteousness. Yes, but think about Yoshina. She literally only came here to see you lose. Fu pointed out. I'm sure your loss means more to her than winning would have meant to Otoko. And I can make it up to him later. Either way, worth it. I'm still telling father about this. Yonda pointed out. Again, worth it. Fu repeated. Chapter 359, To train them is my cause. Time for round 4 of our grand Pokemon tournament. Ni shouted. Our first team is a pair of hot-headed powerhouses. Ken and Netsu. Netsu and Ken strutted out confidently, cockily waving to the audience as they took the stage. And their opponent. A team-up of East and West. Nara and Alice. Kiba added. Nara and Alice walked onto the stage much more humbly, but there was a particularly loud voice cheering for them. You can do it, sweetheart. Chol cheered, earning a bright smile from her daughter as they got to the table. You ready for a beat-down, dweeb? Ken snidely taunted his sister with a shit-eating grin. Get real, when was the last time you beat me in a video game? Nara scoffed. That doesn't matter, now I have Netsu with me. There's no way we can lose. Ken proclaimed. Yeah. Get ready to get burned. Netsu said. Enough talk. Let's battle. Alice cheered, eager to get started. Let's burn M up. Armorage. Netsu cheered as he sent out his Pokemon. Beat M to a pulp, Machamp. Ken shouted as he did the same. Champ/Rouge. Both Pokemon roared as they took to the battlefield. Machamp cracked his knuckles and Armorage's head flame exploded with passion. Let's teach them a lesson, Delphox. Nara said as she threw out her own Pokemon. Delaware. By comparison, Delphox was far calmer when released, but just as battle-ready. Raising their wand up to their opponents. Let's have fun, Dinah. Alice cheered as she released her Pokemon, Dinah the Alolan Persian. Pair. Persian gave their opponents a smug look, instantly stating their superiority with just a glance. Let's go. Dynamic punch that stupid fox in the face. Ken ordered. Nua. Dinah make him wait his turn. Alice ordered. Machamp went to run toward Delphox, only for it to suddenly be frozen by a dark aura that held it in place. What the heck is that? Ken cried in out confusion. You've been quashed. That means you can't move until everyone else has. Alice explained. Well, that sucks. Ken pouted. Armorage use Aura Sphere on Dinah. Netsu ordered. Just what I was waiting for. Use Mystical Fire on Machamp. Nara commanded. Arma. Rouge. Armorage brought its arms in front of it, and its pauldrons crawled up its arms, and turned into a cannon, before quickly charging and firing a sphere made of aura right at Persian. At the same time, Delphox spun their wand around, creating a circle of flames before firing a huge beam of fire at Machamp. The flames hit the four-armed Pokemon, not only doing damage but lowering its attacking stats. Meanwhile, the sphere slammed into Persian, doing super effective damage. Cyan. Dinah cried as it fell onto her side and skidded back toward Alice. With everyone having moved, Machamp was free of quash. They cocked back their fist charging it with tremendous energy, and rushed into Delphox slamming their fist into their face. Fox. Delphox cried as they went skidding back. Type resistance and Machamp's lowered attack reduced the damage of what was normally a powerful attack quite significantly. However, Delphox was left dazed and confused nonetheless. Fox? Dinah uses Quash on Armorage, then Hypnosis on Machamp. Alice ordered. Pair. Dinah's eyes glowed, and Armorage was shrouded with a dark aura, keeping it from moving, then looked over at Machamp, and their eyes glowed a different color. Thanks to Machamp's ability No Guard, Machamp was forced to turn and look at them. Machamp. Machamp's eyelids became heavy, and it quickly fell into a deep, deep sleep. Darn it. Let me move. Ken whined. All right, Delphox light screen. Don't let me down. Nara urged. Unfortunately, Delphox fell victim to its confusion and whacked itself in the head with its own wand. Darn it. Nara hissed. Now that everyone had moved, Machamp was asleep and therefore didn't count. Armorage was free once again. Aura Sphere on Dinah again. Netsu commanded. You turn on Machamp. Alice countered. Rouge. Armorage quickly charged and fired another Aura Sphere toward Dinah, but Dinah dashed at Machamp, their body covered in a green glow. Just before the Aura Sphere hit, Dinah slammed into the Machamp, and then immediately returned to their Pokeball, causing the Aura Sphere to fly past and slam into the wall instead. Immediately after Alice's second Pokemon Lopunny came out. Punny. The bunny Pokemon cheered as she took to the field. Okay Bit-Bit. Use Dig on Armorage. Alice ordered. Punny. Lopunny immediately started rapidly digging through the ground, creating a tunnel and obscuring them from the battlefield. Come on, Machamp, wake up. Ken urged. But his words fell on deaf ears, as Machamp simply continued to snooze. Screw this. Machamp, come back. Ken recalled his sleeping Pokemon and then took out his next Pokemon. Let's crush Feraligatr. Feraligatr popped out onto the field with a mighty roar. Terror. Will-O-Wisp the Gator. Nara commanded with a snicker. No, again you won't. Dodge it. Ken ordered. Use Psyshock on Delphox. Netsu added. Before Armorage could even make the attempt to attack, Bit-Bit burst out of the ground beneath them, then hit them with a powerful, super effective uppercut. When they dodge, use agility to get in close, Alice added. Despite their confusion, Delphox managed to shakily raise their wand and cast Will-O-Wisp, sending the blue flames rushing toward Feraligatr, but the water type leaped to the side to avoid them, only for Bit-Bit, glowing blue signifying their increased speed to start running circles around them. Getting cocky? Come on, Feraligatr hit them with liquidation. Ken ordered. Keep dodging with agility. Alice said. Fair, Gatr. Feraligatr cocked back its arm, water swirling around its arm, and it tried to punch Bit-Bit, but it easily dodged the punch and kept running around them. TCH, you think you're the one who can get faster. Dragon Dance. Ken hissed. Gatr. Feraligatr jumped back and performed a strange dance that boosted its speed and attacking power. Now use Liquidation again, Ken commanded. Feral. Egator. Once again, Feraligatr charged its fist up with powerful water and rushed toward Bit-Bit, but Bit-Bit still easily leaped over the gator, landing on the opposite side, even striking a pose while doing so. Okay. Try this. Aura Sphere that rabbit. Netsu ordered. Stop the attack with Mystical Fire, Nara ordered. Armorage charged up his cannon. And Delphox snapped out of confusion and raised its wand up. Rouge. Armorage fired an Aura Sphere, only for Delphox to fire a wave of fire from its wand, destroying the attack before it could ever reach Bit-Bit. Can't touch me. Alice taunted. Veins started popping out of Ken's head as he clenched his teeth in frustration. Oh yeah. Dodge this. Earthquake. Netsu's eyes went wide. Wait. Bit-Bit grabbed Delphox and bounce. Alice smiled as Ken walked right into her trap. As Feraligatr raised its leg up, Bit-Bit rushed toward Delphox, brought them into a bridle carry, and leaped high into the air. Wham! Feraligatr slammed its foot into the ground, shaking the whole battlefield. The ground rose up and slammed into Armorage, sending it flying up into the air. Rug. Delphox used Will-O-Wisp on Feraligatr. Nara ordered. And Bit-Bit hit him with a sweet kiss. Alice added. Fox/low. While in the air, Lopunny blew a kiss, shooting a heart down at Feraligatr, while Delphox shot down blue flames. Both attacks hit Feraligatr while it was still recovering from using Earthquake, inflicting both confusion and burn on the poor reptile. Trrrrrrr. Feraligatr groaned as it stumbled around confused. Meanwhile, Armorage's body finally hit the ground. Rouge. Armorage groaned as it lay there, barely holding onto consciousness for a second, before fainting. And what a play! Not only have Nara and Alice crippled all of Ken's Pokemon, but they even used him to take out his own teammate. Ni shouted. I cannot imagine how utterly furious Ken is right now, Kiba said, her tone half sympathetic and half laughing at the poor boy. Dude, not cool. Netsu Gentile scolded his teammate as he turned his Pokemon. I didn't even get to use armor cannon. Ken was simply too stunned to speak. Either too baffled at how badly he'd been bamboozled, or simply too angry to form words. As Bit-Bit and Delphox landed, Alice and Nara high-fived each other. Excellent job. You played my brother like a fiddle. Nara praised. I hope he's not too upset. It'd be a shame if the game stopped being fun. Alice said. He'll be fine, Nara said dismissively. Okay, let's turn this around, Charizard. Netsu shouted as sent out his final Pokemon. Zarurar. Charizard roared as he let out a jet of flame from his mouth. Screw it. Earthquake again. Ken shouted. Ga? Tr. Fearligator managed to not succumb to its confusion, and raise its leg again. Take Delphox and bounce again. Alice ordered. Punny. Bit-Bit once again grabbed Delphox and leaped high into the sky. Get in the sky and use Drought. Then use Blast Burn. Netsu ordered. Alice and Nara's eyes widened. Oh! Delphox used Light Screen. Charizard flew up as Fearligator once again shook the battlefield, hitting no one, but Charizard then blasted a bright orb of plasma into the sky, acting like a second sun and bathing the battlefield in harsh beams of hot light. As well as activating Charizard's ability, Solar Power. Increasing its special attack. Charizard opened its maw and started charging a powerful attack, the fires in its mouth turning blue. Fox. Sitting ducks while they were in the air. All Delphox could do to aid in their defense was put up a barrier around the two of them. Zeradur. Charizard unleashed a powerful blast of blue flames up at Delphox and Bit-Bit, who could only brace for impact. Kaboom! The blast hit its target and created an absolutely massive explosion that lit up the entire arena, shaking the battlefield as if Earthquake had been used again with twice the power, making everyone cover their eyes. When the blast died down, all that was left was a huge cloud of smoke. Bit-Bit and Delphox started falling toward the ground. Delphox had taken a good bit of damage, but their type resistance in combination with the light screen had provided lots of protection. On the other hand, Bit-Bit was not doing as well, even with the light screen. Their special defense paled in comparison to Delphox's, and they didn't have the benefit of type resistance. Meaning a solar-powered, sun-boosted, blast burn from a Charizard had them on the verge of fainting. And things only got worse from there. When they land, use Earthquake. Ken ordered. Fearligator. Fearligator once again, despite the confusion, raised its foot up into the air, and when Delphox and Bit-Bit landed it immediately slammed its foot down, making the battlefield shake again, and the earth rise up and hit both Pokemon, knocking them up into the air again. They hit the ground, and Delphox groaned in pain, but Bit-Bit was knocked clean out. And what a turnaround! In just a few moves, Bit-Bit the Lopunny is down and Delphox is on their last legs. Ni shouted. All of Nara and Alice's careful plans were blown to bits by pure force. And I must say, I approve. Kiba added. You did your best, Bit-Bit, Alice reassured her Pokemon as they sent them back to their ball. Hey, you make sure Charizard can't do that to us again while I'm making Fearligator useless, then we can take out the Charizard, Nara whispered into her partner's ear. K. Alice nodded before sending her Persian. Let's finish this Dinah. Parisian. Dinah purred as they came back onto the battlefield. Hit them again. Earthquake. Ken commanded, now committed to spamming this move. Fearligator raised its foot up, and then fell flat on its face, hurting itself in confusion. Meanwhile, Charizard was still recovering from using Blast Burn, leaving Nara and Alice the perfect chance to attack. Use Future Sight on Charizard, then use Mystical Fire on Fearligator. Nara ordered. Don't let her. Liquidation and stop them. Ken ordered. Stop him with U-turn. Alice ordered. Fox. Delphox summoned a bunch of floating purple spheres of psychic energy, then portals appeared around them, and the spheres entered them before the portals vanished. Meanwhile, Fearligator snapped out of confusion, and rushed toward Delphox, their arm cocked back, covered in water, ready to let loose a super effective blow on the Mage Fox. But then Dinah rushed in front of them, charging at Feraligatr, their body covered in a green aura. Boom! Fearligator's liquidation-powered fish met Dinah's U-turn-powered headbutt, both attacks canceling each other out. Fearligator was sent skidding back a few feet, while Dinah flew back a couple of feet, before she jumped out of the way, as Delphox unleashed a beam of mystical fire that slammed into Fearligator, not doing much damage, but lowering all its offensive stats. Help with assurance. Alice ordered. Sion. Persian rushed in while Fearligator was still recoiling from that last attack, raised their paw, and slammed it into Fearligator's stomach, sending them flying back, tumbling across the ground before landing right in front of Ken, belly down on the ground, heavily banged up. They were about to get back up, only to grimace as they took even more damage from their burn. "All right, Charizard's ready to fight again. Air/Delphox," Netsu ordered. "Stop them with Quash," Alice commanded. "Pour." Persian's eyes glowed, and as Charizard cocked back his wings to unleash Air/, he was suddenly frozen by dark energy. "Mystical fire on Fearligator," Nara ordered once more. "Then finish them with Assurance," Alice added. "Earthquake," Ken ordered desperately. As Delphox threw a circle of fire in front of them, and Persian had already started running toward them, Fearligator once again raised its leg. "Fox/Trrrrrr." Delphox fired a beam of fire at Fearligator. At the same time Fearligator slammed its foot into the ground, sending another earthquake through the ground. The ground rose up, and hit both Delphox and Dinah at the same time, while Fearligator got a face full of fire. "Fox!" Delphox was launched up into the air. Was Dinah, however, this didn't stop Dinah from flying toward and slamming their assurance-powered paw down on Fearligator's head. Meanwhile, Charizard had been freed from Quash and finally unleashed the Air/ it had been holding, at the now falling and helpless Delphox. Delphox cried as the Air/ slammed into their body, and sent them crashing into the ground, skidding all the way to Nara's feet, before promptly fainting. "Fox!" At the same time, Fearligator collapsed onto his back, with swirls in his eyes. "A double knockout," Nee shouted. "Both teams are down to the final 4 Pokémon. This has turned into the closest bout yet. It seems like anything could happen. One wrong move and it could cost either side everything." Kiba added. "Will Alice and Nara think their way through to victory, or will Netsu and Ken muscle their way through to the finish line? Looks like things aren't going as planned, Hudweeb," Ken said to his sister as he recalled his Pokémon. "You're just getting lucky, and that luck's about to run out, dork," Nara promised, as she also returned her Pokémon. "Let's finish this Machamp/Meowstic," Nara and Ken shouted as they tossed out their last remaining Pokémon. "Meow." Meowstic purred as they entered the field. "This one is the female variant as opposed to Yonda's male variant." "Champ." Machamp snored, still asleep. "Crap, I forgot he's still snoozing," Ken groaned. "We're almost there, buy me some time," Nara whispered to her partner before giving her command. "Substitute. Hit M with another Air/" Netsu ordered. "Kosh," Alice said. "Pair." With a glow of their eyes, Charizard was frozen. "Protect," Nara commanded. "Stick." Both the substitute and the real Meowstic threw up a nearly indestructible barrier in front of them, and when Charizard was free and shot its Air/ down at them, it simply slammed harmlessly against the barrier, before dispersing. "Now, calm mind," Nara continued. Netsu opened his mouth to give an order, but Alice beat him to it. "Quash." Once again, Charizard was rendered immobile, while Meowstic closed her eyes and meditated, increasing her special stats by 1 stage. Once Charizard was free, Nesta gave his next order. "Hit Dinah with Blast Burn." In a desperate ploy to actually do something, Charizard charged up yet another, devastating attack, this time on Dinah. "Get behind Meowstic," Alice ordered. "Protect," Nara commanded immediately after. Dinah quickly ducked behind the Meowstic and the substitute, and as Charizard fired a massive blue blast of flames, the two cats put barriers around them. Boom! The blast hit the barrier, creating a massive explosion that completely engulfed the other side of the battlefield. But when the smoke cleared, it revealed that Meowstic and the substitute were fine, but Dinah had been hit a bit, just due to the sheer size of the explosion, but had avoided taking the brunt of the attack. And now Charizard needed to rest for a moment, and to make things worse, the fake sun had fizzled out, and the weather returned to normal. But on the bright side, Machamp had finally awoken from his slumber. "Finally!" Ken cheered. "Hypnosis," Alice said. "No!" Ken cried out in agony, falling to his knees and punching the ground. Dinah peeked out from behind Meowstic, and their eyes glowed, and once again, thanks to no guard, Machamp was forced to look, and immediately fell back asleep. "Champ! Now go and hit Charizard with Assurance," Alice followed up. "Just keep using Calm Mind," Nara said. As Meowstic continued to meditate and increase their stats, Dinah dashed out and started running toward Charizard, who had recovered and was ready to attack. "Don't let them get close." Air/, Netsu ordered. Charizard got ready to launch their attack when suddenly, purple portals opened up around him. Zard! Boom! Charizard was hit by Future Sight, the attack hitting so hard it created another explosion, that obscured Charizard for a moment before the injured lizard started falling out of the sky as a result of taking such a strong attack. I completely forgot about that. Netsu cried. Pair. Persian leaped at the falling fire lizard, raising its paw covered in dark energy, and slammed them into the ground, hard enough to crater it. Zayrd. Charizard cried out in pain. Hypnosis. Alice continued. Sion. Dinah looked down at the winded Charizard, and their eyes gave off a hypnotic glow. Charizard tried to resist, but his eyelids became so heavy, and soon, he was sleeping. Okay, so now we just can't play the game, Ken complained. That's the idea, Nara smirked. Now then, Alice, I think it's time we put the poor boys out of their misery. Stored power/assurance until they're done. They both shouted in unison. Meow. Meowstic created balls of psychic energy and shot them at the sleeping Macamp, knocking him off his feet and sending him flying into a wall, where he remained with swirls in his eyes. Stick. Then Meowstic launched another set of psychic balls at the sleeping Charizard, which slammed into him and created another explosion. Dinah then rushed into the smoke cloud, which then quickly dispersed, as Dinah slammed Charizard with another assurance, right in the gut. Charizard let out one final roar, before passing out. And with that, this explosive battle goes out with, kind of a whimper. Both Charizard and Macamp are unable to battle, making Alice and Nara the winners. Nees proclaimed. Well, that was anticlimactic, Kiba added. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX As a Mai would say, skill issue, Nara said smugly. Not gonna lie, not being able to play the game was not great. Netsu sighed. Good game though. Whatever. Humph. Ken immediately stormed off to sulk for the rest of the day. Chapter 360, I will travel across the lands. We are now at the halfway point of the first part of the tournament. Nise announced. Round number 5. Up first we have a deadly duo of Sheena and Nise. Wait, oh wait. Kira, catch my fall. Nise thought as she jumped out the hole in the window Kiba had made earlier. Idiot. Kira took control and stopped their fall with her vectors, as Sheena walked right up next to her. So are you going to be the one fighting or is Nise going to? Sheena asked as they walked to the stable. Mostly her I guess, Kira answered, before switching to Nise. But Kira can help if she wants. As Nise and Sheena got to the table and took their seats, Kiba continued announcing. Now for their opposition. 2 pieces of a greater whole. G and aka. Huh. Kick their fucking asses sis. Yaba screamed from the stands as G and aka approached the stage. Yeah, you can do it. Inu cheered. G sighed as she got to the table, let's just get him over with. Ahahahaha. You two shall taste bitter defeat at the hands of my minions. Beg for your lives while you still can, and maybe I'll think about sparing you. Aka loudly proclaimed. It's just a game of Pokemon, calm down, Nise told her. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Destroyer! aka shouted as she threw out her Pokemon, Houndoom. Doom! Destroyer roared as he landed on the battlefield. Without a word, G unleashed her own Pokemon, Alakazam. Zam! The psychic type muttered calmly. Show them how we shine, Oricorio. Sheena tossed out her Pokemon. Corio! As soon as Oricorio, Ghost, hit the field they did a little dance, to flex on their opponents. Let's do our best, Scovie. Nee said as she tossed out her Pokemon, Scovillain. Villain! Scovie cried. You really went with that name, huh? Kira asked in the driest of tones. It's cute, leave me alone. Nees told her with a pout. Leave them with no escape. AKA ordered. Fire spin on that Scovillain. Doom! Destroyer howled, as a geyser of flames erupted from under Scovillain's feet. 8-3. Scovie screamed as it took a bit of damage from being engulfed by the firing tornado, before it died down, just as quickly as it came. No backing down now. Sunny day. Nees ordered. Scoo! Scovie's redhead looked up in the sky, and spat out an orb of plasma, acting like a second sun, beaming down powerful rays of heat on the battlefield. Calm mind, G ordered dispassionately. Hit them with Revelation Dance. Sheena commanded. Get in their way, and give them their comeuppance. AKA ordered. Oricorio performed a quick, but elegant dance, before shooting out a blade-like energy blast of ghost-type power right at Alakazam, while the mustached Pokemon was meditating and increasing its stats. But then Destroyer jumped in front of Alakazam. The attack slammed into Destroyer, doing little damage, but then Destroyer turned and unleashed a massive howl of dark power at Oricorio. Kuh! Oricorio cried out as the howl slammed into them, doing super effective damage to the little bird. A counter move? And it's super effective on me. Well, that's going to be annoying. Sheena thought. Unless I can just keep them from using it. Use teeter dance. Sheena followed up. Oricorio shook off that last hit, then got up, and started doing another dance, catching everyone's attention, but as they watched they became enamored, and confused. All of the other Pokemon stumbled about, as they were inflicted with confusion, even Scovillain. Oi! Kira protested. I'm sure she has a plan, let's just go with it. Knees decided. How annoying. Destroyer. Shake that off and use Spite. AKA commanded. Doom. Destroyer let off an angry howl, and Oricorio was shrouded by a purple aura. Teeter Dance's PP having been lowered. Alright, now get past that mutt, and use Revelation Dance on Alakazam. Sheena continued. Block it and give them comeuppance. AKA. And if that doesn't work, hit Alakazam with Solar Beam. Knees added. Stop them with Psychic, G ordered. Choreo. Oricorio rushed to the side before quickly performing their dance and shooting another blast of ghostly energy. Desadier rushed in front of the attack, but instead of using comeuppance, they slammed their head into the ground in confusion, while also taking the attack. Taking a bit of damage on both sides. Meanwhile, Alakazam raised its spoons up to Scovie and Scovie's green head started charging up a beam of solar energy. Boom! And then both Pokemon hurt themselves in confusion, Alakazam hitting itself in the face with its spoons, and Scovie's solar energy blew up in its face, knocking them on their back. Whoosh! Yeah, it seems like we're doing so well right now. Kira remarked sarcastically. Are you gonna say anything useful? Knees hissed at her headmate. Probably not. Kira admitted. Then Scovie was consumed by another spiral of flames, as Fire Spin did its second round of damage. Scoo! Well, if he's going to keep blocking my attacks, I guess I should make sure they hurt more. Sheena thought. Quiver Dance. Oricorio did another little dance, increasing its special stats as well as its speed. Hit them with Fire Spin. AKA directed. Doom. Destroyer pulled its head up, and shook off its confusion completely before roaring at Oricorio, causing a fire tornado to erupt underneath it, completely engulfing the bird. Coor. Oricorio hissed, taking a little bit of damage, but not much, thanks to the move's low power and Oricorio's increased special defense, and soon the attack died down. Teeter Dance again. Sheena ordered. Once again, Oricorio performed that mesmerizing dance that left Desadier confused. Show them your spite? AKA ordered in return. Doom! Once again Houndoom roared despite its confusion, once again lowering Teeter Dance's PP by 4. If this keeps up I'll only be able to use that move twice. I better make this count. Sheena thought. Quiver Dance again, then use Revelation Dance on Alakazam. Cori 3. Oricorio once again did its stat boost dance, then, a fiery spiral erupted around them once again briefly, and after shaking that off, they rushed past Destroyer and started their Revelation Dance. Get in the way and use comeuppance. AKA commanded. Try solar beaming them again. Knees dictated. Vi idle. Scovie once again started charging their beam of solar energy, once more, aiming it right at Alakazam. Doom! And instead of moving to try and defend it, Destroyer slammed its head into the ground, hurting itself in confusion. Ori/N. Blasted a wave of ghost energy at Alakazam, and at the same time, Scovillain unleashed a massive beam of solar energy at them. Forming the perfect two-pronged assault. Ally swap, G commanded. Zam. Alakazama's eyes flashed, and suddenly, it and Destroyer switched places, and the attacks hit them instead. Kaboom! The attacks collided with the poor Dogo, creating a huge explosion and a huge dust cloud. When the dust died down, Destroyer had taken quite a bit of damage. Even if those attacks had been resisted, they were still quite strong, leaving Destroyer likely with about a third of its full health. Let's finish them. Oricorio uses Quiver Dance, then uses Revelation Dance on Destroyer. Sheena ordered. Weaken it with Flamethrower, then finish it with Solar Beam. Knees ordered. As Oricorio did another stat-raising dance, while Scovie blasted Destroyer with a jet of fire that did minimal damage to Destroyer before they immediately started charging a Solar Beam. Heh, aka smirked, and she gave G a nod, and G nodded back. Do something different. Kira instructed. What? Knees questioned. 1. Aka just gave the most obvious tell that this is a trap, and 2. I don't think you're actually going to finish that Houndoom anytime soon. Kira told her, and I have a feeling you should focus on that dog only when you have to. An enemy that doesn't care if they take damage are the worst kind of people to face. Okay, so what should I do? Knees asked. I don't know, just not whatever you were doing before. Kira shrugged, or at least she would have if she had control of the body. Give them a taste of your suffering, use pain split on Scovy. Then use comeuppance. AKA ordered. Delay Oricorio with psychic, G ordered. Switch targets to Alakazam. Knees ordered quickly. 8th. Scovy quickly turned his head and fired the beam straight at Alakazam, who was completely unprepared. Boom! The beam hit Alakazam head-on, creating a big cloud of dust from the impact. Meanwhile, Oricorio launched another wave of ghost-type power at Destroyer, who looked at Scovy, and his eyes glowed, and suddenly, their health balanced out, Scovy's health lowering drastically while Destroyer's health increased drastically. However, without Alakazam to stall Oricorio's attack, Destroyer didn't have time to use comeuppance, so he just took the attack, making him skid back a few inches, but Destroyer shook off the impact. Whoosh! K/8. Oricorio and Scavillain were then engulfed in fire, as the next fire spin attack occurred, before dying down again. The dust around Alakazam blew away, revealing they were mostly fine. Their high special defense, boosted by Calm Mind, allowed them to tank the attack rather well. At this point, everyone had broken out of confusion. Sorry, I wasn't able to stall. G apologized for things not going fully to plan. Pa, it doesn't matter. Their destruction is at hand. AKA proclaimed confidently. Looks like you were right. Knees thought. This situation is unwinnable. Kira proclaimed. Huh. Knees responded in confusion. They're using a sword and shield strategy and a powerful one at that. Kira explained. Houndoom is there to counter and weaken us, while Alakazam increases its power to wipe us out. With ally swap, any attempt to separate them is almost futile, and even if we manage to get in a hit, so long as it's not physical, it won't go down easily. And Houndoom can heal both of them with pain split while making us weaker. And if there is any move that gives them trouble, Spite will take care of it eventually. Knees concluded. Plus, neither of us can hit Houndoom with anything they don't resist, and we're stuck here thanks to Fire Spin. It's an almost helpless situation, almost. Kira said. There is one move we have that can turn the tide, Spicy Extract. Oh right, I almost forgot we had that. Knees only really added it to their moveset because it was Scovy's signature move. Neither of them can use physical attacks at all. So all increasing their attack stat will do is make hurting themselves in confusion do more damage. Kira pointed out. And it'll lower their defense, and that's their real weakness. Their strategy won't matter if we can take out their sword and shield quicker than they can do anything about it. So we use Spicy Extract on both of them, and then, just hope we get lucky with confusion until we can switch out? Knees asked. Also, make sure not to let Alakazam increase its stats too much. Kira continued. And don't let Sheena confuse them until we use. Oricorio used dash. Sheena was about to order another teeter dance, but Kira took control of the body and clamped her hand over her mouth. Hold on, Kira told her firmly, before taking her hand off her mouth, then giving an order. I'm taking the lead now. Scovy, use Spicy Extract on Alakazam. Take it. Then make them suffer with Fire Spin. AKA shouted. Get behind them, then use Revelation Dance on Alakazam. Sheena followed up. Stop them with Psychic, G commanded. Scovillain spat out some juicy peppery extract from their red head, aimed right at Alakazam, but once again Destroyer jumped in the way and took it, giving off a howl as its attack increased and its defense decreased. Doom! Destroyer roared, and once again a torrent of flames erupted from under Scovy's feet. Scovieth! Meanwhile, Oricorio dashed around the battlefield with its thrice-boosted speed, and got behind Alakazam, before quickly doing its little dance, to try and blast it with ghost energy, only for its body to suddenly freeze. Locked by Alakazam's psychic power, just at the last minute. Oricorio was raised up in the air, then slammed back down into the ground, doing a bit of damage, but not as much as it looked like it would have, given the 3 quiver dances. Use Teeter Dance, Kira whispered over to Sheena. I need to get Spicy Extract to hit Alakazam, but Scovillain. Scovy. Knees corrected. The Pepper Boy. Kira hissed. Won't survive much longer, so we need to do this now. I mean I can try, but they're just going to use Psychic on me again, Sheena argued. I need a distraction. I have an idea. Once again Knees and Kira switched. Scovy uses the move that instantly wins us the battle. Huh? Ji and AKA both gave her a baffled look, and even the Pokemon looked confused, which was about to get a lot worse. That works. While they're distracted. Teeter Dance. Sheena ordered. Kuriai. Oricorio quickly performed their befuddling dance, attracting the attention of all Pokemon present, and once again afflicting them with confusion. I can't believe we fell for that. G sighed. What a horrible ruse. AKA growled. Show that bird our spite? Let's test our luck. Kira thought. Use spicy extract on alakazam. Revelation dance on alakazam. Sheena ordered. Ally swap, G ordered. Doom. Destroyer roared, and once again, Teeter Dance had its PP lowered. Meanwhile, Scovy swayed around in confusion for a moment before it managed to shoot out its spicy extract all over alakazam. And as Oriokrio shot out another wave of ghost-type energy at them. Chasm! Alakazam smacked itself in confusion, before getting hit by Orikorio's attack, sending it flying, and landing face-first on the dirt. Kaya. Taking such a powerful, super-effective attack, even with its incredible special bulk, had alakazam on its last legs, struggling to try and get back up. G couldn't even risk giving it another order because if they hit themselves in confusion, they'd be done for. Whoosh! Fiery vortexes once again erupted under the feet of Scovy and Oricorio, and once they subsided, Oricoroyo simply shook it off, while Scovy fell forward, with spirals in their eyes. And it looks like Scovy is burnt out. Will their lingering spice be able to affect the battle moving forward, or will it just fizzle out in the end? Only time can tell. Kiba announced. Thanks, everything Scovy, Ni said as she recalled her Pokemon. Let's just hope Trace can finish things. Your nicknames are just the worst. Kira groaned. Dryo. Trace the Dodrio took to the battlefield. Finish off alakazam. With Trailblaze. Ni's commanded. Take the attack and use comeuppance. AKA ordered. DRI, oh. Trace's body glowed green, and they rushed toward alakazam at incredible speed. Houndoom jumped right in their way, but instead of using comeuppance, he slammed his head into the dirt, hurting himself on confusion, the pain being further compounded when Dorio slammed into them, making them fall onto their side. Before Destroyer could even get up, Sheena gave her command. Revelation dance on alakazam. Ally switch, G ordered. Comeuppance. AKA quickly added. Coup. Oricorio sent out another wave of ghost-type energy to finish alakazam, but despite their confusion, the Psychic managed to pull through and switch places with Destroyer. Destroyer also broke through confusion, shrouding itself in dark energy, just before Oricoario's attack slammed into them, sending them back onto their side, and skidding across the dirt. Doom. Destroyer gave off a powerful roar, filled with dark-type energy, powered by the damage they'd just taken, and it slammed into Oricorio, knocking them off their feet. And with that final roar, Destroyer finally fainted. Whoosh! Korii! Once again Oricorio was engulfed by fire spin, and when the flames faded, they revealed an unconscious Oricorio. And the seemingly invincible Destroyer has finally fallen. Back to the hell where he came from. Dragging Oricorio with it. Kiba shouted. Who will be avenged? And who will have their partner join them in the fiery depths? TCH. It's no matter. My next minion will make you suffer. AKA swore as she threw out her next Pokemon. Come out, Annihilator. Dragon. Roared Annihilator, the Hydreigon, as he flew out of his Pokeball. Let's win this. Frostlass. Sheena shouted as she released her own Pokemon. Lass. Frostlass cooed elegantly as they entered the battlefield. Kira, Nice. Back me up. Frostlass use Blizzard. Sheena commanded. Counter it with your cries of fury. Hyper voice. AKA countered. Lass/Goonn. Frostlass unleashed a wave of overwhelming ice and cold air, and in return Annihilator let out a mighty roar, unleashing a powerful wave of sound. Kaboom! The attacks collided with each other, exploding on impact and canceling each other out while spreading snow and ice all over the place. Finish Alaxum. Trailblaze. Ni's ordered, now that Annihilator was still recovering for a brief moment after unleashing that attack. G knew this was likely the end of her Pokemon, but there was still one thing it could do that could leave a major impact. Reflect. Dryo Trace rushed toward alakazam, but just before he got hit, he managed to raise his spoons, and put up a force field around himself and Annihilator. It didn't save him. Trace slammed its head into the Psychic type's chest, and even with Relfect mitigating the damage, Alaxum had been on its last legs and had its defense lowered 2 stages, so it was no surprise that it landed in front of G's feet, and fainted. With its final breath, the alakazam put up a reflect. Will it be enough? Or will their efforts have been in vain? Kiba announced. Looks like we'll be done soon, G said as she recalled her Pokemon before sending out the next one. Let's wrap things up, Slowking. Slowking yawned as he came out of his Pokeball. You know I was expecting you to use at least one dog Pokemon, G, Kiba commented. I know, right? Yaba cried from the stands. Represent us a little bit more. G just rolled her eyes. Nisa. Slew. Slowking suddenly dazed off, looking like he just went on a good trip as his special defense stat increased sharply. Meanwhile, Sheena had a scheme that she whispered to Kira. I know a way we can win, guaranteed. We just need to take one of them down, and both of us have to survive. Then let's aim for the dragon, Kira said. Use lunge on the dragon. Dodrio. Trace rushed at Hydreigon with its double-boosted speed, a green aura wrapped around its body, and flung itself into Annihilator, doing super effective damage and making them fly back, as well as lowering their attack stat. How dare you! Annihilator. Lash out with all your rage. AKA roared. Dre. Annihilator stopped itself from flying back any further, then dark-type energy from one of his arm heads. They rushed forward and slammed their fists head into Trace, now sending them flying back, falling behind, and skidding across the ground. Do! Trace hissed as they struggled to pull themselves back up after such a powerful attack. We can't take too many of those, so we'll have to stop using that move on them unless we can make sure we can't get counterattacked. Kira told her. You scald on the bird, G ordered. Oh! Dodge it! Knees commanded. Keying. Slowking shot out a beam of scalding hot water at Trace, who ran away from it as if their life depended on it, rushing around the battlefield while Slowking kept moving his head around to try and hit them. Don't let them escape. Crush them with Rock Tomb. AKA ordered. Hit them with Blizzard. Sheena followed up. HYYYYYY. Annihilator roared, and suddenly, rocks started falling from the sky around Trace, who desperately tried to dodge them along with the scaling water. But even with their speed, this proved to be too much, and one of the rocks slammed down onto them, not only doing super effective damage, but lowering their speed by one stage, and holding them in place, as the jet of scaling water got ever closer. Frost. Lass. But then Frostlass blasted out a wave of ice and overwhelming cold, over the entire battlefield. Dre. Annihilator screamed as the blast smacked into them and knocked them across the battlefield. Meanwhile, Slowking had the water they were shooting freeze, stopping their attack but not doing much damage to them at all. Dryo. Trace freed themselves from under the rock and shook off the damage. Heal Pulse, G ordered. Sluo. Slowking raised his hands, nubs, up toward Annihilator and they gave off a glow, before sending healing waves over toward the dragon, that brought it back to full health. Looks like we can't ignore that thing. Kira pointed out. I have an idea. Knees said. Let's go gambling. Tezu's try attack on Slowking. Destroy it with it hyper voice. AKA commanded. Get in close, and hit Hydreigon with Draining Kiss. Sheena added. Use Future Sight on Frostlass. G dictated. Do. DRI. Oh. Trace opened their beaks, and in each beak, an orb of energy was created, one red, one yellow, and one blue, before firing all three of those orbs at Slowking. HYYYYYYYYYYYYY. Annihilator let off another massive wave of sound, that rushed toward the orbs. Meanwhile, Frostlass glided through the orbs and the sound, unaffected thanks to her ghost type. Not even taking damage when the attacks collided, and exploded against each other, letting her get real close to Hydreigon, and latch her lips onto the top of his main hand. Drygounen. Annihilator screamed out in agony, as its health was drained, with a quad-effective move. Thankfully Relfect mitigated the damage, so Frostlass only took off a quarter of its health, and not half. Meanwhile, Slowblow created a bunch of orbs of concentrated psychic energy, and then sent them away for portals, to be used later. Your kisses are unwanted. Lash out. AKA ordered. Drei. Annihilator covered its head fist in dark energy, and then slammed it into Frostlass, sending the ghost type flying back, taking major damage. And what's more, Annihilator was briefly covered in a red aura, signifying something negative had happened to it. Sheena smiled. Perfect. Trace. Use Trailblaze on Slowking, then follow up with Tri-Attack. Knees ordered. Dryo. Once again, Dodrio's body was covered in a green aura, and they rushed forward Slowking, slamming into him, doing a little damage and making them slide back a couple feet. Then Dodrio created 3 more orbs of elemental energy, and before anyone could try to stop them, shot them right at Slowking. King? Slowking groaned as the orbs slammed into them, and a moment later, bits of electricity crackled off of their body, signifying they'd gotten paralyzed. I was hoping for freeze, but that works too. Knees thought as she breathed a sigh of relief. Just as long as they didn't get burnt. That would not be super helpful right now. Knees, Kira, start using lunge on Annihilator as much as you can, Sheena told her. You don't have to worry about Lash Out for now. Frostlass, Icy Wind. Frossus. Frostlass flew up before unleashing a blast of chilling wind at both of her opponents. Lass. The winds hit, Annihilator groaned in pain, while Slowking looked a little annoyed at worst. And both their speeds were lowered. Finish them with Lash Out. Annihilator tried to summon up the power to use Lash Out, only for nothing to happen. Hi? Hit Annihilator with Lunge. Knees commanded. Dodrio. Trace's body was covered in a green energy once more, and they launched themselves at Annihilator, slamming into him and causing him to fall right out of the air. Super effective. What's going on? Why didn't Lash Out work? What have you done? AKA questioned. Cursed body, Sheena explained. It's my Frostlass's ability. Once you hit them, they disabled your ability to use Lash Out for a little while. Which means we don't have to worry about lowering your stats. Icy Wind. Frostlass. Frostlass unleashed another blast of chilling wind, doing damage to Annihilator and lowering both of her opponent's speed. Heal Pulse, G ordered. Stop them with Lunge. Knees countered. Slowking raised their palms and tried to heal up Annihilator, but they were far too slow, and before they could get any healing done, Trace slammed into them with a super effective move, knocking them to the ground. Bah! I won't let this stand. Annihilator. Use Outrage and take out that Frostlass. AKA ordered. All or nothing. Blizzard. Sheena commanded. Hydreigon. Annihilator roared as their body exploded with draconic energy, and they flew toward Frostlass. Frostlass. Frostlass unleashed another blizzard, and Annihilator just charged straight through it. Hyyyyyyyyyyyy. Annihilator struggled to try and force their way through the blizzard to reach Frostlass, taking immense damage as they did so. The pain mounted each second, and ice formed across their body as they tried to desperately force themselves toward Frostlass, in the hope of getting just one hit. But at the last moment, their strength failed them, and they were blown back, all the way to AKA's feet. Gun. Annihilator groaned, before finally passing out. And Annihilator is unable to battle. It's 2 against 1. The king versus the Icy Maiden and the Hydra Bird. Yeah. Hydra Bird. Kiba said, having to take a moment to figure out anything cool to call Dodrio. The king's back is against the wall, can find any way to hold his throne, or is this the end of an empire? We should probably just surrender. G conceded. What? Shouted both AKA and Yaba. Don't you dare. Surrender and I kick your ass. Yaba threatened from the benches. Traitor. AKA accused. Are you forgetting everything we sacrificed? Do the lives of our partners mean nothing to you? It's a game. Calm down. G reminded her, rolling her eyes at how vitriolic everyone was getting. Fine, I guess at this point surrendering is more trouble than it's worth. Who knows, maybe I could still dash. Suddenly, Future Sight became active, and Frostlass was surrounded by portals that launched balls of psychic energy at the hapless ice ghost. But before they hit, Sheena gave one last command. Destiny Bond. Frostlass closed her eyes, and let a purple aura overtake her, just before the attack hit. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX and Knees are the winners. Immediately, aka put down her switch and pointed at her two former opponents. Curse you! You may have defeated me today, but this won't be the last you see of me. And with that, she then turned and fled as fast as his little feet could carry her. Congratulations. Good job, Ji said, shaking her opponent's hands, before promptly leaving. Knees and Sheena smiled at each other, before exchanging a sweet, high five. 120 Chapter 361, Searching Far and Wide. Now it's time for the next round to begin, Knees announced as she took her place back in the announcer booth. Our lovely co-host gave their sister a beating, but now it's time for the other two members of the trio to see if they can make it closer to avenging her. Kiba continued. We have the left and right heads of the Cerberus, Yaba and Inu. Awoo. Yaba gave off a howl as she and Inu walked into the arena. Awoo. Inu gave off a much meeker howl. And their opponents. Two boys with explosive power. Lu and Shuku. Knees continued. The two boys coolly entered the stage, not saying a word but looking just as confident as their opponents. You boys ready to get your asses handed to you? Yaba asked with a cocky smirk. Humph, talk is cheap, let's battle. Lu said. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Valley! Silvally cried out, loud and proud, as they slammed a claw down on the battlefield. Sporting the dragon type. Take him down Kamo-o. Shuku said as he tossed out Pokemon. Mo. Kamo-o proudly shook all of its scales as he entered the battlefield. Let's teach our bites even harder than our bark. Arcanine. Yaba screamed as she unleashed her Pokemon. Ni. Arcanine roared as he leaped from his Pokeball. Do your best, Zappy, Inu said, as she released her Pokemon. Bolt! 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 Zappy the Bolton barked as they got ready to fight. All right, folks. Let the battle begin. Ni signaled. Belly drum. Shuku started, confident he could take the lead with overwhelming power. Play rough, Inu ordered. Extreme speed. Yaba shouted. Cool. Kamou beat its belly, hurting itself as it raised its attack all the way up. But before it could use any of that increased attack, Zappy rushed forward and smacked it in the face with its paw, which was glowing with fairy-type energy. Cool. Kamou cried out in pain as it took a 4-type effective hit, knocking them to the ground, and putting them at a sliver of HP. Which was promptly annihilated when Arcanine rushed forward at absurd speeds, jumped into the air, and then slammed into the downed dragon. Ko! M.O. Oh! The dragon groaned, before immediately fainting. Wow! Just, wow! Ni said. Kamou is unable to battle, let's just move on. Dude, what the hell you were supposed to cover for me? Shuku admonished his teammate as he returned his Pokemon. See what do you mean cover? Lu shouted, completely losing his cool at his partner. You didn't tell me anything. You just turn one used belly drum and got one shot before I could even do anything. What kind of idiot takes off half his HP at the start of a fight? It was a strategy. And it would have worked if you did your part. Shuku insisted as he got ready to send out his next Pokemon. Just try not to make me look bad this time. Come out, Goodra. DRA. The gooey dragon cooed as they took to the battlefield. Okay, let dash. Before Lu could let out a word, Shuku had already given his command. Hyper beam on the yellow one. He commanded. Will you calm down? Lu shouted. Grab Zappy and dodge with extreme speed, Yaba ordered. Goo. Drea. Goodra charged up, before shooting out a massive beam at Zappy, but just before it could hit them, Arcanine ran past with overwhelming speed, biting down on Zappy's tail and dragging them out of the way of the beam, causing the attack to completely miss. Good job, Arcanine, take a rest, Yaba said, before returning Arcanine to his Pokeball and then switching them out for their second Pokeball. Chew em up, Mightyna. Might. Mightyna barked as he came out. You nuzzle on Silvally. Inu ordered. Stop them with multiple attack. Lu commanded. Sucker punch. Yaba countered. Bolt. Bolt. Boltund rushed toward Silvally, while Silvally raised their claw ready to attack them as soon as they got close. Only for Mightyna to appear in front of Silvally and uppercut them without warning, sending them flying into the air. Boltund jumped into the air, using Mightyna as a springboard, and rubbed its head into Silvally's stomach, mid-air, before unleashing an eclectic charge that engulfed Silvally, doing practically no damage, but inflicting paralysis on the artificial Pokemon. Not even waiting for those two to get back down, Yaba turned her attention back to the still recharging Goodra. Swagger. Yena. Mightyna struck a confident pose, confusing Goodra, but also giving it a double physical attack boost. Big mistake. Focus punch. Shuku ordered. Dra. Goodra cocked back their fist, charging up a powerful punch. And then clocked themselves in the face. Come on. Shuku ordered. Now hit M with foul play. Yaba shouted. Tyena. Mightyna covered their body in a dark aura as they charged toward Goodra, before tackling them right in the gut, hitting them with the power of Goodra's own increased attack stat, knocking the dragon their back. Boltund and Silvally finally landed back on the ground, and Lu quickly gave his order. Crush claw. Sucker punch. Yaba countered. Play rough, Inu added. Silvally tried to rush in and catch Boltund with its claw, but then Mightyna rushed in and slammed its claw into the side of its face, sending it flying to the side, tumbling across the ground. Boltund ran after them, with pink energy, and when he got close, he leaped up and drop-kicked Silvally, sending them flying all the way into a wall. Volley. Silvally wheezed, taking major damage from the combined assault. Power dash. Before Shuku could finish his command, Yaba and Inu gave theirs, almost simultaneously. Helping hand, Inu commanded. Sucker punch, Yaba added. Whip. Shuku finished his command, only to realize what just happened. Wait dash. Goo dash. Green vines came out of Goodra's body, but before they could do anything, Boltund rushed toward their partner, and gave them a pat on the bum, giving them a vibrant aura, before Mightyna vanished, appearing in front of Goodra, and hitting them with a downward punch to the top of the head, putting their face in the ground. Foul play. Yaba continued. Play rough, Inu added. Boltund ran up next to Mightyna, and then the two jumped to opposite sides of Goodra. Mightyna shrouded their body in dark energy, while Boltund's feet glowed with pink, mystical power. Then as Gudra just pulled their face out of the ground, Boltund and Mytiana slammed their paws into the side their head. Goo! Gudra cooed as they collapsed, fainting on the spot. And once again, there was stunned silence. Lu considered if it would be more embarrassing to just surrender or to spend the next, perhaps 2 minutes getting his ass handed to him. And when Yaba and Inu turned their attention toward him, looking at him like a fresh piece of meat, he found his answer within that predatory gaze. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX like watching a pack of wolves tear apart a deer while a small bird tried in vain to help. Kiba surmised. Lu immediately teleported away, either out of shame or salt. Meanwhile, Shuka's hair spiked up, and he threw his switch high up into the air, before it exploded, and then pointed at the girls. "Fight me IRL." Yaba gave him a dangerous smirk. "Oh, you want a scrap? Alright. Let's take this outside blasty." G sighed from the stands. "And now I have to get MYS kicked. In real life. Great." Chapter 362, Each Pokemon to Understand. "Okay, so after that, battle, let's move on to our next match," Ni said. "Next up is our resident ninja girl and tidy boy, Himiko and Tenko." Clean boy? They couldn't come up with something cooler? Tenko thought with a pout as he walked up to the stage next to Himiko, who was smiling and waving at the cameras. And their opponents, another sibling pair, this one knows their loud personalities. Kiba said. Ko and Kuki. The two siblings strutted down the walkway toward the arena. Both dressed up for the occasion. Ko was dressed in of all things, Mr. Mime-inspired attire. A pink and white suit, with purple shoes that sported curled tips. She'd even given herself purple twintails. Kuki on the other hand was dressed in a Gothitelle-inspired outfit. A four-segmented black dress, with four big black bows going up the middle. Long white gloves went from his hands to his elbows. His hair was the only thing not fully going along with the theme, as Gothitelle's hairstyle was a bit much for Kuki, so instead he went with long pigtails and white bows. Nice outfits. Himiko praised as her opponents took their seats. I'm starting to think I'm underdressed. Why yeah, you two look good, Tenko added. Always dressed to impress, Kuki said while puffing out his chest pridefully. You put so much effort into dressing up, it'll make me feel bad when you're knocked out in the first round, Himiko said with a cheeky wink. Ko returned the smirk and spoke using her phone. Well, see who clobbers who. Let's go. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Would. Explode screamed, shaking the entire stadium with his volume. Show them our style, Gothitelle. Kuki said as he threw out his own Pokemon. Tell. Gothitelle cooed as they entered the stage. Let's tear em up, Scruffy. Himiko cried as she launched out her Pokeball. Circer. Scruffy the Berserker roared as they came onto the battlefield. Let's help out Palafin. Tenko said as he sent out his Pokemon. Fin. Palafin cooed as he floated into the battlefield, swimming through the air as if it was water somehow. All right, now let the battle commence. Knees announced. Palafin return. Tenko, the second one, attempted to return his Pokemon back to his Pokeball, only for his attempts to bring Palafin back to their Pokeball to fail. Wadash. Shadow Tag leaves no retreat. Kuki explained. Gothitelle, increase firepower. Hone Claws. Himiko ordered in turn. Hyper Voice. Ko commanded. Stop Explode with Jet Punch. Gothitelle closed their eyes and activated Calm Mind, increasing their special stats, while Scruffy turned their claws into daggers and sharpened them against each other, increasing the attack power and accuracy. Explode started to inhale, only for Palafin to rocket forward, and slam its flipper into Explode's forehead, and do practically no damage. What? Explode unleashed a massive wave of sound that slammed into both Palafin and Scruffy. Scruffy simply put their arms up and bore the not very effective damage, but Palafin was blown all the way back, tumbling across the ground until the attack ended. Palafin groaned as they slowly floated back up. Looks like we have to take out Gothitelle ASAP. Himiko deduced. Scruffy, let's see what they've got against our X-Scissor. Circer. Scruffy brandished their blades, which glowed bright green with the power of insects, before charging right at Gothitelle. Take cover. Kuki commanded. Boomburst. Ko ordered. Goth. As Scruffy got close, Gothitelle used to protect. So when Scruffy slashed at the Gothic Psychic, all they hit was a barrier. Explode. Explode let out an even mightier scream, sending explosive waves of sound all over the battlefield. Per/pal. Scruffy and Palafin were blown away, the latter taking serious damage from the overwhelmingly powerful attack, while Gothitelle remained safe inside Protect. Things are looking bad for Himiko and Tenko. Palafin's stuck in zero mode, and it's practically useless. Can Himiko and Scruffy deal with a battle that's practically 2-on-1? Niz asked. Ko frowned and surveyed the battlefield once more. Particularly, looking over toward Palafin. The poor Pokémon was likely down to at least half its HP, and would almost certainly faint before it ever got a chance to switch out. I guess that's enough. Explode use roar on Palafin. Ha! Screamed Kuki, Tenko, the announcers, and half the audience. Explode! Explode let out another shout, sending another wave of sound out, this one directed right at Palafin. The sound slammed into them, but instead of doing damage, it forced Palafin to return to their Pokeball, and automatically sent in Tenko's next Pokemon, Cinccino. Chino! Sis, what the hell are you doing? Kuki asked his sister harshly. Ko shrugged. It wouldn't be much fun if he just wasn't able to use one of his Pokemon. I mean, look at Ken. She pointed up at Ken in the bleachers, who was still absolutely fuming over his match. Arms crossed, hunched over, cheeks puffed up in a pout. And Shuku, Ko added. Kaboom. We already did a bunch of damage to them, so I think it's fair that they get to switch now, Ko argued. It's just a game after all, we should all get to have fun. And in a shocking turn of events, Tenko gets bailed out by an act of good sportsmanship from Ko. Niz announced. What an honorable choice. Though you've earned my respect, will it cost them the game? Kiba asked. Although in my opinion, my respect is worth more than winning the game anyway. Kuki sighed. Fine, I guess it's just a game after all. But if we lose because of this, you better make it up to me later. Thanks, Ko. Himiko cheered. Thank you so much. Tenko said, giving her a thankful bow. You're welcome. Now let's keep going. Ko said. Explode use Supersonic on Scruffy. Dodge it. And use Metal Claw. Himiko ordered. Fire on Scruffy with Psychic Noise. Kuki dictated. Bullet Seed on Gothitelle. Tenko commanded. Explode. Explode sent another wave of sound at Scruffy, who was charging at them, but Scruffy leaped over it, and with claws drawn, glowing with steel-type power, they slashed Explode. Loud! Explode stumbled back, recoiling from the damage, and Scruffy landed in front of them. But as soon as they landed, they were slammed by waves of psychic energy that were sent out by Gothitelle. Then, Gothitelle got absolutely bombarded by a barrage of seemingly unending bullet seeds, shot out of Cinccino's mouth. Hyper voice. Ko commanded. Explode! Explode unleashed a blast of sound that pushed forward, slamming into Scruffy and Cinccino, stopping the latter's attack. Give Explode medical support. Kuki ordered. Tell. Gothitelle raised their palms at Explode, and they glowed white, before sending healing waves at Explode, mending their wounds and getting them back up to full health. Himiko's eyes widened as a light bulb lit up over her head. Hey Tenko, as Kuki would say, give me covering fire. Hone claws. Right. Use Rock Blast on Gothitelle. Tenko commanded. Take cover. Kuki commanded. Sinnoh. Cinccino started creating small rocks, about the side of their head, before shooting them out at Gothitelle, but the Goth Pokemon used Protect once more and blocked the barrage of rocks. All while Scruffy used Hone Claws. Boom burst. Ko shouted. Switch targets. Give them a mouthful of rocks. Tenko countered. Keep using Hone Claws. Himiko added. As Explode opened their mouth, taking a deep breath so they could unleash Boomburst, but that's when Cinccino switched targets and started shooting rockets directly into Explode's massive maw, filling it to the brim with rocks. And Scruffy continued to use Hone Claws, getting closer to maxing their attack potential. Now hit them with bullet speed, Tenko followed up. And use Metal Claw on Gothitelle. Himiko ordered. Stop them with Psychic Noise. Kuki commanded. CID. Cinccino shot out a barrage of bullet-like seeds at Explode, lighting up the poor normal type as they desperately tried to spit out all of the rocks in their mouth. Meanwhile, Scruffy rushed toward Gothitelle with their blades drawn once more. Gothitelle sent out a wave of psychic energy to try and stop them, but Scruffy ran into them, tanking the damage and continuing until he reached Gothitelle, before giving them a big //parer. Tell! Gothitelle cried as they were slashed by Scruffy's claws, knocking them to the ground. Goth. Gothitelle groaned as that attack left them in the red in terms of HP. They looked up and saw Scruffy standing over them, claws drawn menacingly. Finish them with X-Scissor. Himiko commanded. Take cover. Kuki countered. Circer. Scruffy raised their claws up, making them glow green, before trying to bring them down on Gothitelle, who threw up Protect in the nick of time, guarding against what would have been the finishing blow on the Goth. Something's not right. Himiko could have ended Gothitelle with X-Scissor before. There was no reason to use Metal Claw, unless she wanted to keep Gothitelle alive for some reason. Kuki pieced together. You ready to get swept by my boosted-up Scruffy? Himiko taunted, with the smuggest look she could manage. Ko smiled back at her as Exploud finished spitting out rocks. Not if I can help it. Exploud use Roar on Scruffy. Plowed. Exploud launched another wave of sound that slammed into Scruffy, sending them back into their Pokeball and immediately switching them for Himiko's other Pokemon, Copycat the Ditto. Gotcha. Himiko cackled. Finish them off, Tenko. Copycat used Psychic Noise on Exploud. Bullet Seed on Gothitelle. Tenko added. Gothitelle. Copycat shouted as they sent waves of psychic energy that slammed at Exploud, doing more damage and heal blocking it. CID. Cinccino sent another wave of bullet seeds at downed Gothitelle, who could do nothing but take them, recoiling with each hit, until they completely collapsed, and spirals in their eyes. And one side gains a Gothitelle and the other side loses one. Niz announced. Now it seems like Team Tenko and Himiko have the advantage. Looks like Himiko was after Gothitelle's healing abilities, pulling off an ingenious trick on our famous trickster, Kiba said. Whoops. Ko chuckled sheepishly. Kuki sighed. Guess I should have expected that from someone like Himiko. Guess we'll just have to make do. And not make any more stupid mistakes. Right, sis? Heh, yeah, Ko said apologetically. Come out, Inteleon. Kuki shouted as he sent out his last Pokemon. Leon. Inteleon said smoothly as they came onto the battlefield. Get back, Cinccino. Tenko, now free of the enemy's Shadow Tag ability, immediately switched out his Pokemon. Let's do this right, Palafin. Palafin. Palafin cried out heroically, as they exited the ball, now in their powerful, hero form. Hyper voice. Ko shouted immediately. Stop them with Jet Punch. Tenko commanded. You snipe the Copycat. Kuki ordered. Protect. Himiko responded. Exploud took another deep breath, but before it could scream, Palafin rushed in and socked it in the side of the head, interrupting it yet again. Inteleon raised its finger up at Copycat, and shot a water bullet at them, only for it to be blocked by Protect. Use close combat on Inteleon. Tenko dictated. Take cover. Kuki commanded. Heal Pulse. Himiko added. Pole. Palafin rushed toward Inteleon, with its fish cocked back, but just before it could launch its attack, Inteleon created a doppelganger in front of it. Paula. 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 Palafin. Palafin hit the Subbutsuit with a barrage of powerful punches, destroying it in seconds, but lowering their defensive stats. At the same time, Copycat raised their palms at Palafin and released healing waves over at them, getting them back up to full health. Use Air Slash on Palafin. Kuki ordered. Stop them with Jet Punch. Tenko countered. Use Supersonic on Palafin, Ko shouted. Psychic Noise on Inteleon. Himiko added. Tell. Inteleon jumped back and was about to perform Air Slash, only for Palafin to rush forward and interrupt it, with a punch to the face, sending them crashing back into the ground. Although the actual attack did less damage than it seemed. Exploud. Exploud launched another sonic wave, aimed right at Palafin. The sound engulfed them, filling their ears with this disorienting noise that inflicted them with confusion. Meanwhile, Inteleon was trying to pick itself up off the ground, only to get slammed by a powerful wave of psychic energy, sending it tumbling across the dirt, taking pretty serious damage. Finish Exploud off. With close combat. Tenko ordered. Paul? Finn. Palafin, instead, chose to punch itself in the face, doing notable damage to itself. Now. Hit it with Air Slash. Kuki shouted. Hyper voice. Ko added. Tank it, then use Heal Pulse on Palafin. Himiko commanded. Inteleon pushed themselves up into the air, and chopped the air, unleashing a blade of wind out that slammed into Palafin. Exploud. Exploud unleashed another explosive wave of sound, that slammed into Palafin and Copycat. Palafin was sent flying back to their side of the arena, while Copycat just grits their teeth and endured it. Once it finished, they used Heal Pulse on the beaten-up and confused Palafin, undoing most of the damage that had been done. Snipe shot on Copycat. Kuki commanded. In. Inteleon aimed his pointer finger at Copycat's head and fired. Leon. Boom. A water bullet exploded out of Inteleon's finger and slammed into Copycat's head. Copycat fell to the ground, and turned back into their true, Ditto form, now with swirls in their eyes. A critical hit. Niz shouted. Just when it was looking bad, the sniper did what sniper do best and took out their opponent with but one clean headshot. Kiba added, "Is Team Kuki and Co making a comeback? I can't believe you actually one-shot me?" Himiko said in disbelief as she returned her Pokemon. "Don't underestimate the power of Sniper. The ability, I mean." Kuki boasted. "Alright, let's finish this, Scruffy," Himiko said as she sent out her previous Pokemon. "Tenko! Let's do this. Don't think we'll make it easy. Take cover," Kuki shouted. "Boom burst," Ko added. "Stop Explode with Jet Punch," Kuki ordered. "Then follow up with Metal Claw," Himiko dictated. Inteleon created another substitute and hid behind it, as Explode got ready to unleash another overwhelming wave of sound all over the place. But Palafin, despite the confusion, rushed forward with immense speed and uppercut Explode into the air. Then Scruffy jumped up onto Palafin's shoulders and leaped off them, lunging at Explode, and hitting them with a powerful slash. Explode? Moments later, both Pokemon landed, Scruffy on his feet, and Explode on his side, with swirls in his eyes. Explode is unable to battle. It's 2 versus 3. But with Inteleon's powerful sniping abilities, can they even the odds? Nise asked. "You did your best, Explode," Ko reassured her Pokemon as she brought him back to his Pokeball, before bringing out her other one. "Let's give them a grand final. Mr. Rhyme." "Rhyme!" Mr. Rhyme sang as he entered the battlefield with a little jig. "Okay. Let's get this started with a bang. Metronome!" Ko shouted. "Mr. Rhyme!" Mr. Rhyme raised his finger up in the air and wagged it. And then immediately exploded. Kaboom! Mr. Rhyme burst out into a massive explosion that covered the entire battlefield, and when the blast died down, all that remained was a giant dust cloud. When the dust finally settled, all the Pokemon on the field, except for Inteleon who'd been hiding behind his Substitute, had fainted, and the Substitute had of course been destroyed. What an unexpected turn of events. Mr. Rhyme got self-destruct on its first turn. "What the odds of that?" Nise asked. "It seems fate has dictated a duel must be healed. Chameleon versus a..." Kiba blanked on what animal Cinccino was based off of. "Chinchilla!" Kay screamed from the stands. "Chinchilla!" Kiba continued. "A shoot of the century." "Well, that's not what I meant by get started with a bang." Ko giggled as she recalled her Pokemon. "Sorry bro, you're on your own." "Why am I not surprised?" Kuki sighed, shaking his head at his sister's antics. "Looks like you'll have finished this man-to-man Tenko. I know you can do it." Himiko reassured him as she recalled her Pokemon, with Tenko doing the same. "Right." Tenko took out his last remaining Pokemon and sent it out. "Let's clean up. Cinccino! Chino!" Cinccino squealed as they came back onto the battlefield. Tenko and Kuki looked at each other. Eye to eye. "Hey whatever happens. This was fun," Tenko said, offering the other boy a kind smile. "Thank you." Kuki was stunned by the other boy's sincerity for a moment, before eventually smiling back. "Same. Now let's finish this." Inteleon/Cinccino. Both boys shouted at the same time. Snipe shot/bullet seed. Cinccino opened their mouth, and Inteleon raised its finger and aimed it at Cinccino's head. Bang! Inteleon fired a water bullet from their finger, and Cinccino fired a barrage of 5 bullet seeds. Wham! The attacks hit their opponents at the same time, causing both Pokemon to hit the ground. Everything went silent. Everyone holding their breath, waiting on the edge of their seats to see what would happen next. And then, slowly, Cinccino forced itself back up onto its little feet and stood, while Inteleon stayed down. And there you have it, folks. In the closest battle we've had so far, Himiko and Tenko came out on top. Nise shouted. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Hey, Ko said via text-to-speech. Sorry for costing us the match. I just wanted everyone to have fun. Kuki shook his head. It's fine, sis. It's just a game after all. You still owe me something later though. Ko smiled and engulfed her little brat in a big hug. Chapter 363, The Power That's Inside. The time has come. The beginning of the end. The last round of the qualifying bouts. Who shall join the victors and continue in this grand tournament? And who shall be banished to the benches with the defeated? Up first we have 2 buckets of sunshine, so bright you may have to put on sunglasses, Kai and Hanabi. Roar. Kai, who had been shrunken to miniature size by Frisk once again, said as he waddled toward the stage happily, alongside Hanabi, who was letting off fireworks into the air like crazy. If you're wondering why Kai is small, don't worry about it, Niz assured the viewers. And on the other side, a pair who can do almost anything and make your dreams and nightmares come true. Psycho and Frisk. Kiba announced. Frisk and Psycho walked down the runway with swagger in their step, and their heads held high like a pair of divas. As they arrived at the stage, Kai gave Frisk a respectful bow. "Thank you so much for this. I'm already having so much fun." Frisk giggled. "That battle hasn't even started, silly. The fun's only just started. Come on. Let's go." Hanabi cheered, as she released another round of fireworks to start to the battle. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Featherstep the Quaquaval. Quaval. Featherstep quaked as he did a little dance on the battlefield. Let's have fun, Dragonite, Kai said as he sent out his own Pokemon. Night. Dragonite cheered as they flew out of their Pokeball. Let's give them the battle of their dreams. Moo. Frisk cheered as they sent out their Pokemon. Sharna. Moo the Masharna yawned as they came onto the field. Let's make this magical, Spiritomb, Psycho said as she tossed out her Pokemon. Toom. Spurtom cackled as they popped out. Time for Dragon Dance, Kai shouted. Use Will-O-Wisp on Dragonite, Psycho commanded. Stop it and counter with Aqua Step, Hinata countered. Reflect, Frisk added. Dragonite started doing a merry little dance to increase its speed and attack stats, and while that was happening, Spiritomb had little pieces of its spiritual vortex body break off, turning into blue flames and launching themselves at Dragonite. But Featherstep ran forward, toward the little flames, before breaking into a dance, moving toward the fire. As he danced, his tail feathers popped out, spinning around him, carrying water on them, creating a liquid buzzsaw around Featherstep. The flames hit the blade and were promptly extinguished, as Featherstep continued to dance toward Spiritomb, finishing by hitting Spiritomb with a powerful kick. Moo put up Reflect just before their foot slammed into Spiritomb, mitigating the damage. However, the wicked Pokemon was still sent flying back, while Featherstep's speed increased. Come back, Moo, Frisk said as they recalled them. They substituted their Pokemon. Let's go, Mola. Mola the Komala. Okay. Use Dragon Rush on Spiritomb, Kai commanded. Featherstep give them a helping hand, Hanabi added. Take the hit with Endure, Frisk commanded. Hit them with Confuse Ray, Psycho finished. Featherstep pirouetted back to their side of the field and gave Dragonite a pat on the back, filling them with power. Dragonite screamed as a draconic aura exploded from their body, and they exploded forward, the energy taking the shape of a dragon around them. Just before Dragonite could slam into Spiritomb, Mola rolled in front of them and took the hit. Wham! The dragon slammed into Mola at full force, creating an explosive impact that sent Mola flying back, through Spiritomb's ghostly body, until they slammed into the wall, making a crater in the wall. Mola groaned in pain. The only reason they hadn't immediately been KOD is because of Endure. One of the glowing yellow orbs on Spiritomb's body flew off and floated in front of Dragonite's face. The light mesmerized Dragonite and inflicted confusion on the tubby orange dragon. Mola, come back, Frisk said, as they once again switched out their Pokemon. And come back out, Moo. Sharna. Moo yawned as it came back out once more. You too, Featherstep? Hanabi also recalled his Pokemon, to bring out his second Pokemon. Your turn, Shimmerscale. Lodic. Cooed Shimmerscale the Milotic as they gracefully entered the battlefield. Shimmerscale, wrap around Dragonite. And use Dragon Cheer, Hanabi ordered. Me. Shimmerscale did exactly as instructed, wrapping around Dragonite's body, acting like armor for the dragon, before letting off a loud cheer. Methi Thry. Dragonite roared. Dragonite used Dragon Rush, Kai said. Night. Dragonite instead punched itself in the face in confusion. Dang it, Kai pouted. Use Toxic on Shimmerscale, Psycho commanded. And use Hypnosis on Dragonite, Frisk added. Block Dragonite's eyes. And use Hydro Pump on Spiritomb, Hanabi ordered. Spy-Eye. Spiritomb spit out a highly toxic sludge from its mouth, that landed all over Shimmerscale, seeping into them and inflicting them with heavy poison. Meanwhile, Moo sent out psychic waves at Dragonite, trying to bring it into a trance, but Shimmerscale wrapped around Dragonite's eyes, keeping it from falling prey to the hypnosis. Shimmerscale then opened its mouth and shot out a big, powerful jet of water, that hit Spiritomb like a truck, carrying them into the side of the arena, and slamming them into the wall, making another crater, and doing significant damage to Spiritomb. Tom/Tick. Both Pokemon groaned in pain, as Shimmerscale also started taking damage from the poison. Okay. Finish it with Dragon Rush. Kai ordered once more. Take the attack and use light screen. Frisk commanded. Dre Agunin. Dragonite pushed through confusion, and once again shrouded himself in an aura of draconic energy, and rushed toward Spurtome. But Mumu rushed in front of his path, and quickly put up another screen, before Dragonite slammed into them, sending them crashing into the wall right next to Spurtome. Use Hex on Shimmer Scale, Psycho ordered. Mirror Coat. Hanabi countered. Spy. Spurtome. Spurtome conjured up a shadowy orb, with a menacing red eye at the center and launched it at Milotic. Shimmer Scale closed its eyes and readied for impact while making its body shine with a brilliant rainbow glow. Boom! The attack hit Shimmer Scale, exploding against their body, doing big damage due to the poison status already inflicted on them. Milo, TIIC. A moment later, the rainbow energy around Shimmerscale's body out in from a beam, slamming into Spurtome and dealing that damage right back to Ghost type. Tum. Spiritome howled the dark apparition on its last dregs of HP. Only alive thanks to the screens Mumu had so helpfully placed up. Mumu use Healing Wish. Frisk ordered. Shimmerscale, recover. Hanabi ordered. Use Hex again. Psycho repeated. Finish Spiritome with Iron Head. Kai added. Taiyik. Milotic's body glowed once again, as their wounds closed and their health was greatly restored, but as soon as they finished they winced, as the poison took away a bit of that regenerated health. Night/Tomb. Spurtome sent another ghostly eye at the pair, but Dragonite rushed forward, head first. Their head becoming coated in metal. They slammed through the eye, taking the damage instead and continuing on like nothing happened thanks to multi-scale, until they slammed into Spurtome. Boom! Tum! Spiritome cried, the impact hitting them so hard it caused the entire wall to start cracking and falling apart, and Spiritome fainted, almost instantly. At the same time, Mumu's body became enveloped in light, and as they too fainted, the light turned into a ball and entered Mola's Pokeball. And it's a double KO for Team Psycho and Frisk. And things are not looking good for them. Knees pointed out. With Hanabi's genius friend Armor Tactics stopping their status tactics, can these two find a way to overcome this seemingly overwhelming threat? You did your best Mumu, now come back and take nice rest, Frisk said as they and Psycho recalled their Pokemon. Come back out Mola. Let's do our best Miss Magius, Psycho said as she sent out her final Pokemon. Magius/Mola. The two Pokemon cried as they came out. Mola now completely healed thanks to Mumu's efforts. Let's finish this Kai. Dragon cheer. Hanabi shouted. Dragon rush on Miss Magius. Kai added with gusto. Tyke/Night. Shimmerscale let off a cheer, filling Dragonite with power, as they completely snapped out of confusion, and once again a draconic aura enveloped them, and they rushed toward Miss Magius. Hit Dragonite with Mystical Fire. Psycho ordered, in hopes of mitigating damage. Help out with Charm. Counter the fire with Hydro Pump and take the charm. Hanabi ordered. Ms. Magius. Miss Magius conjured a ring of fire in front of them, before shooting out a massive jet of flames from it, heading right toward the opposing pair. Cool. Mola yawned adorably, sending out hearts toward the charging foes. Shimmerscale wrapped more around Dragonite, taking the hearts, and the attack dropped themselves instead, before opening their mouth, and unleashing a huge torrent of water. The attacks met, and water overpowered the fire, extinguishing the flames, and going on forward to slam into Miss Magius, making them fly back. Dragonite caught up, and slammed into them, sending them, like the others flying into the wall, knocking them out immediately with a critical hit. And that's lights out for Miss Magius. Nis shouted. All hope seems lost. Can this single Kamala somehow take out 4 dash? I surrender, Frisk said immediately. Well, take the wind out my sails, why don't you? Nis muttered with a pout. Could have at least let me finish. PEWM. 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 A grand fireworks show followed the battle, as Hanabi and Kai jumped for joy, screaming gleefully, "We won! We did it! We won!" all while Hanabi shot fireworks into the air. Psycho sighed. I was at least hoping to face mother and father. Or do better than being taken out in the first round. Frisk put their arm on their shoulder and gave them a sympathetic smile. Don't feel too bad. It's just a game after all. And look at how happy they are. Psycho looked at the pure glee on Hanabi and Kai's faces and felt her disappointment lessen. After all, she can't imagine herself being so overjoyed over a game. Fair point. But, there's something I noticed during the battle. Your Pokemon didn't attack. A single time. Well, yeah. Frisk shrugged and gave them a duh look. I'm a pacifist. Chapter 364, Pokemon Gotta Catch 'Em All. And now we finally move on to the next stage of our wondrous tournament. Kiba announced. I expect the battles to only get more intense from here on out, and only the best shall continue on to the next rounds. The first round of our second bracket will be none other than Kyoku and Fuku versus Yami and Amai. Nees added as the contestants walked onto the stage once more. Will the bond between sisters prove overwhelming, or will the power of love I mean friendship prevail? Yeah, you're such great friends. Kyoku teased, rolling her eyes as she spoke. Not sure we can handle all this friendship over here. Eh? You really don't think we can win? Fuku asked, wilting a little at this revelation. What? No. Big sis, I was making a joke. We're gonna destroy them. Kyoku quickly and frantically corrected me. Don't be so sure, scrubs. Prepare to get swept. Amai stated confidently. Let's get this started. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Soul. Absol purred as they popped out of their Pokeball. Let's go for the win, Bell, Yami said as he released Bell the Bellisum onto the field. Bell. The little leafy ball of sunshine cheered, just happy to be here. Time to win, Hatterene. Kyoko shouted as she released her own Pokemon onto the field. Renee. Hatterene cried as they got ready for battle. Let's do our best, Kuma. Fuku cried as she finally threw out her Pokemon. Bee. Kuma cooed as they popped out. Alright, let the battle begin. Knees announced. Double team. And then swords dance. Amai ordered immediately. Use Pollen Puff of Hattern. Yami followed up. Counter with Mystic Fire. Kyoko commanded. Use Substitute and then keep using Drain Punch on Absol until you hit. Soul. Absol roared, as doubles spawned around them. Bell/Hat. Bell raised their arms above them, creating a ball of concentrated pollen above their head, and at the same time, Hatterene formed a ring of fire in front of them. Then, they both fired their attacks. Hattern unleashed a wave of fire that swallowed and destroyed the pollen puff, before continuing on and hitting Bell. Sum! Bell cried out in pain, as they were engulfed in fire for a few moments, taking big damage and lowering their attack stats. Meanwhile, Kuma created a single duplicate of themselves before running in toward Absol, their fist glowing with fighting energy. They approached the first Absol and slammed their fist down on it, but it went right through, revealing that it was nothing more than a double. Where? Beware went to double after double, punching them, trying to find the real one. Fortunately for Amai, this gave Absol enough time to finish using Swords Dance. Unfortunately, right after that, Beware finally found the real one, slammed their fist down on their head, smashing them into the ground, doing big damage, and healing Kuma. Soul. Absol, get away and use Night Slash on Kuma. Amai ordered. Counter with Drain Punch. Fuku commanded. Give Kuma a boost with Helping Hand, Kyoko added. Use Encore on Hatterene. Yami dictated. Soul. Absol slipped out from under Kuma's fist and jumped back. Their head sickle started to give off a dark aura, as it shrouded itself in powerful Dark-type energy. In response, Kuma cocked back their fist, charging it with fighting energy. Hatterene came in behind them and gave them a pat on the back, making power explode from their body as their power doubled. Bell clapped their hands, making a spotlight appear over Hatterene, locking them into using only Helping Hand for quite a while. B/Ab. Kuma and Absol charged at each other, and when close, they threw their attacks at each other. Fist meeting sickle. Where? Soul. Boom. The attacks collided, creating a huge explosion, kicking up dust and smoke everywhere. Kuma came skidding out of the smoke, back to their side of the arena, while Absol was sent flying out of the other side, doing a mid-air flip and landing on their feet. Both Pokemon seeming no worse for wear. They cancelled each other out? But Kuma's attack definitely should have overpowered them? Unless, they got a critical hit. Fuku deduced. Dang it. Don't let up, big sis. Let's keep going. Kyoko shouted. Fuku looked down at the younger girl, and the fire in her eyes ignited her own spirit for Pokemon battling. Right. Fuku took a breath before thinking things through. Encore is actually really bad. If they break my sub, then I won't be able to put it back up without the risk of being stuck using that move over and over. And we can't ignore Absol or they might just sweep us. There's no other choice. We have to keep attacking Absol until they go down. Just one Helping Hand boosted Drain Punch should do it. We just have to get lucky. Keep going. Drain Punch until you hit. Fuku commanded. And keep giving them a Helping Hand. Kyoku added. Double team again. Then use Night Slash on Hatterene. Amai ordered. Pollen Puff on Hatterene. Yami followed up. Substitute block the attacks. Fuku quickly added. B/Soul. Once again Kuma and Absol charged their attacks, with Hatterene once again giving their partner a major boost, and the group of Absols charged toward the singular bear. As the Absols came toward the duo, Kuma kept on punching them, with Hatterene continuing to boost every punch. But the real Absol leaped over Kuma and Hatterene, landing on the other side, before turning and attacking Hatterene. That's when the substitute jumped in front of the way, and took the slash, getting immediately destroyed by the powerful attack. Lususum. In the background, Belle had been charging up another ball of pollen, and when the substitute went down, she launched the ball right at Hatterene. Renee. The ball slammed into Hatterene and exploded, doing a bit of damage and knocking Hatterene down. Finish them. Night Slash. Amai ordered. Don't let them. Drain Punch. Fuku shouted. B. Absol charged up another attack and lunged at the fallen Hatterene, sickle ready to strike them down, while Kuma turned around, and rushed at Absol, arm cocked back, ready to let their fist fly. Kuma wouldn't make it in time to save them, and so, at the last moment, Hatterene extended their hand out to Kuma and gave them one last helping hand. Soul. Absol slashed down Hatterene, before then getting rocked by Kuma, punched so hard they get sent flying all the way into the stadium wall. Ab/Renee. Both Pokemon groaned, swirls in their eyes signifying they were both knocked out. A double knockout. With their last breath, Hatterene gave Kuma the strength to finally take out Absol. Avenging themselves. Nise announced. Well, that could have gone better. Amai sighed as she recalled her Pokemon. But at least we took out Hatterene. Yami nodded. Now they just needed to focus on Metagross, then it would be 2 against 1. Sorry, I couldn't protect you better, Fuku said as she watched Kyoku recall her Pokemon. It's not your fault, big sis. They just targeted me. Kyoku said, pouting a little bit at the results. Metagross is weak to dark, so they're probably going to target me. So let's keep going pure offense. Even if I get taken out, if they're too weak to beat you, it won't matter. Oh, okay. Fuku could feel the pressure mounting on her. But she refused to let Kyoku down. No matter what happened, she had to try, at least for her sake. All right, let's smash Metagross. Kyoku shouted as she sent out her next Pokemon. Bash Moshold. Amai cried as she did the same. Grosses, Hululd. Both Pokemon roared. One sounded intimidating and powerful, and the other sounded like a group of mice screaming. Come back, Belle. Yami immediately returned his own Pokemon and switched it out for the other. Your turn, Pecky. Pico. More Pico cheered as they came out to fight. Tidy up. Amai commanded. Use Swagger on Kuma. Yami immediately ordered. Drain Punch on Moshold. Fuku commanded. Use Trailblaze on Moshold. Kyoku added. All the little mice suddenly gained little brooms and started to sweep, but Metagross's body emitted a green glow, and with great speed, unbecoming of their size, Metagross glided across the battlefield and rammed into them, interrupting them and knocking them down like bowling pins. B. Kuma charged at the down mice, only for a cry to suddenly get their attention. Pico. B. Beware turned their head, and saw Pecky, standing in a pose, with such exaggerated swagger that it left them confused, and also increased their attack by 2 stages for some reason. Where? Moshold. Use Bite. Amai ordered. Mouse. 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 The mice jumped back up and lunged at Metagross, biting into each one of its legs, dealing super effective damage on the metal spider. Gross. Metagross cried out in pain. They frantically tried to shake off the mice but to no avail. Use Aura Wheel on Metagross, Yami ordered. More. Pecky switched modes, created a hamster wheel of dark energy and rolled on it right toward Metagross. Jump and counter with Giga Impact. Kyoku commanded. Gross. Metagross waited for Pecky to get close, then, just before the Aura Wheel could touch them, Metagross jumped into the air, and when Pecky passed under them, they slammed down on them with colossal force, the impact also managing to throw the mice off its arms. Peck! Pecky cried out in pain, having sustained significant damage from the powerful attack, and now they were trapped underneath the 1,212-pound monster. Meanwhile, the mice were picking themselves back up and trying to regroup, which seemed like a perfect opportunity to attack. Kuma hit them with Drain Punch, Fuku ordered. Beware! Beware punched themselves in the face instead, doing big damage to themselves in confusion. Use Bite on Metagross again. Amai commanded. Hold! The mice launched themselves as Metagross, who was still recharging after using Giga Impact, thus leaving them defenseless as the mice bit down into their side. Gross! Metagross cried out as it took yet another super effective hit. Slip out, and use Aura Wheel on Metagross, Yami commanded. Peck! Peck! Pecco! Pecky struggled to get out from underneath Metagross's, barely managing to do so, popping out beneath the beast. More! Pecky switched modes, then created a wheel of electricity, and used it to charge into Metagross, slamming into the steel type and making him flip over. Hit them back with Meteor Mash. Kyoku ordered. Gross! Metagross floated up using their psychic powers, flipped themselves back over before landing on the legs, and, shaking off the mice once more, their massive frame loomed over Pecky. Dodge and use Aura Wheel, Yami commanded. Stop them with Drain Punch. Fuku desperately ordered. Metagross raised its leg up, and it glowed with steely energy, but as they brought it down, Pecky leaped into the air, dodging the attack completely, before creating a wheel of dark energy, and rocketing down toward Metagross. But Kuma ran in, and fought through confusion, grabbing Metagross and tossing them out of the way, and now Pecky was coming down toward them instead. Kuma cocked back their fist and got ready to counter the oncoming Aura Wheel. Where? Kuma's fist slammed into Pecky's Aura Wheel, shattering it, and slamming into Pecky, sending them flying into the roof of the arena. Nearly knocking them out in a single blow. Finish them off with Trailblaze. Kyoku commanded. Swagger! Yami ordered. Metagross's body turned green once more, and with great speed, it folded up its arms and flew at Pecky, ready to ram right into them. But, as they flew near, they saw the audacious look in Pecky's eyes, daring them to come forward. Increasing Metagross's attack, and inflicting them with confusion as well. Gross? Metagross, in a fit of confusion, steered off course, and slammed into the ceiling, hurting itself in confusion. Metagross groaned as they fell back toward the ground, seemingly helpless, which Yami immediately took advantage of. Finish them. With Aura Wheel. Yami shouted. Pecky lunged forward, creating another wheel of dark energy, and ramming into Metagross, slamming them both into the ground and creating an explosion of dust and dirt that obscured both Pokémon from sight. A second later, Pecky jumped out of the cloud, landing in front of their trainer. Their body covered in wounds, and their breathing heavy, but they managed to hold on. A hair's breadth away from fainting. Meanwhile, Metagross stayed hidden behind the cloud, as everyone waited with bated breath, to see what had become of the steel spider thing. And when the dust settled, all was revealed. Metagross was splayed out on the ground, with swirls in its eyes. Metagross is unable to battle, meaning this battle is officially a 2-on-1, Ni shouted to the crowd. But Fuku's beware is a force to be reckoned. Can our capable girl Fuku take on numbers with sheer overwhelming power? Kiba asked. Dang it. Wish I could have taken one out with me. Kyoku grumbled with a pout, as she recalled her Pokemon. I'm really sorry Big Sis? Kyoku stopped when she noticed Fuku trembling slightly, clutching her Pokeball for dear life, and muttering to herself. Oh gosh, it's all on me, I'm gonna mess it up, and everyone's gonna laugh at me. Fuku's breathing started to get erratic. Tap, 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 tap. Fuku was brought out of her negativity spiral by the sound of noticeable, but soft sound of something tapping on the table. She looked up and saw the sound had come from Yami tapping his finger on the table, to get her attention. Breath. Yami reminded her calmly but firmly. His eyes were terrifying as normal, but there was a hidden softness within them that you wouldn't notice unless you were familiar with him. Reminding her that he wasn't her enemy, or out to get her. She was her opponent in a game of Pokemon. But beyond that, he was still her brother. He wasn't going to judge her over something like losing a game. Are you okay? Amai dropped out of gamer mode and gave her a look full of concern. Reminding her that outside of games, she was just a really nice girl at heart. Did I go too far? I'm so sorry, I know you have anxiety, I didn't mean to make you panic like this. It's fine, Fuku reassured her, taking a few deep breaths to try and steady herself. She closed her eyes, shutting out the world around her for a moment, before slowly opening them, being greeted with the sight of everyone looking at her with kind, reassuring eyes. You can do it, big sis, you're strong. Super strong. Kyoku told her, with absolute certainty in her voice. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. Fuku said. Substitute. Fuku ordered. Kuma broke free of confusion completely. Now use Drain Punch on Pecky. Fuku commanded. Beware. Kuma charged its fist with fighting energy and rushed toward the weakened hamster, intent on landing the finishing blow. But it wouldn't be that easy. Tidy up. Amai ordered. Swagger. Yami followed up. Mouse. The 4 mice pulled out brooms and started frantically sweeping around the arena, not only increasing their speed and attack power but also making the substitute disappear completely. That's when Pecky crossed their arms and switched mode, showing off their swagger in the face of overwhelming power, confusing Beware and increasing their attack even further. B. Kuma stumbled in confusion, falling flat on their face, and doing big damage to the bear. Now hit them with population bomb. Amai commanded. Mouse. Each of the mice summoned some fake mice bombs and pelted them at Kuma. Boom. 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 Where? Beware cried out in pain as each attack exploded against their body, damaging them bit by bit, adding up to some serious HP loss. Finish them with outrage, Yami commanded. Counter with Drain Punch. Fuku ordered. Copycat. Amai finished. Pico. Pecky switched modes, and draconic energy exploded around them, their eyes burning with fury, as they charged at Beware, full sprint. Kuma fought through the confusion, getting up on one knee, and cocking back their fist, charging a counterattack. At the same time, the mice ran toward Kuma, before lunging at their beach, each mouse cocking back their little fist, ready to unleash a devastating blow. Beware, Peck! Pecky lunged at Beware and threw their fist forward, and Kuma met with the attack with their own. Boom! Their attacks collided, and Pecky was easily overpowered and sent flying back at alarming speeds until they slammed into a wall, immediately losing consciousness. But then, a second later, Moshold slammed their own fists into Beware, hitting several spots on the side of their body, making the massive bear topple over. Beware! Kuma groaned as they too gained those dreaded swirls in their eyes. Yet another double knockout. Kuma and Pecky are unable to battle. Nis commanded. Things are getting tense. Can Fuku's last Pokemon make a glorious comeback, or will she fall to the power of Yami and Amai's completely platonic love? Kiba said, before winking at the camera. Fuku and Yami recalled their Pokemon, and Yami was quick to send Bell back out. But Fuku hesitated. She looked down at her final Pokeball. Her hand once again started to tremble. But then she closed her eyes, clenched and unclenched her other hand and her toes, and took a deep breath, before opening her eyes, and sending out her final Pokemon. Let's do our best, Petey. Carrer. Petey the Carnivine roared as they came onto the field. Population bomb. Amai ordered immediately. Helping hand, Yami added. Double team. Fuku ordered. As the mice got ready to start throwing mouse bombs on their way, Bell gave them a pat on the back and Petey created a bunch of clones around them. And when Moshold actually threw the bombs, none of them hit the real target. Phew. Fuku breathed a sigh of relief. So that's the game you want to play. Copycat. Amai commanded. Encore, Yami added. Bell. Bell clapped their hands, and a spotlight appeared over Petey, forcing them into using nothing but double team for at least 3 turns. Guess I have no choice. Double team again. Fuku ordered. Copycat. Amai commanded. We're gonna be here for a while, Nis said as more and more clones filled the arena. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Pokemon reached max evasion. All the while Belle had tried to hit Petey with Petal Dance, but to no avail. Okay now then, Moshold, keep using Tidy Up until you're at max. Amai ordered. Stockpile until you're at max. Fuku countered. The audience had to try not to groan. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX run out of pedal dance PP and had moved on to spamming encore, which did hit once, not that it mattered. In grain. Fuku ordered. Spam population bomb. Amai ordered. Spam helping hand, Yami added. As Moshold continued to throw and miss bombs, PD stuck their roots into the ground and started drawing nutrients from the ground, which let them heal over time. Now use leech seed until you hit Moshold. Fuku ordered. Vine. 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 PD shot out a barrage of seeds like a machine gun at the horde of Mosholds, missing again, and again, and again, all while Moshold was throwing and missing their own attacks. This continued for quite some time, until finally, Moshold landed a hit. Boom! Car! PD hissed as one of the bombs managed to actually hit them, doing a smidge of damage, and that was it. The rest of the bombs continued to miss. Just as Leech Seed's PP was running out, PD finally managed to land their own attack, shooting seeds onto Moshold, which latched onto them and immediately started draining their health. Dang it! Amai hissed. This was bad, as this was a major blow in the battle of attrition they were now locked in. Hey, we're running out of PP, they can heal, and they're draining your health. Yami pointed out. I think we lost. Nonsense. That's scrub talk. All we need is some lucky crits. Amai scoffed. Crits. Our only way to win is to land crits. When she has max evasion. Yami said slowly, letting it sink in how absurd the idea was. True gamers don't surrender. We lock in. Amai shouted. Keep firing Moshold. Yami sighed. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX moves, and grass types were immune to leech seed, so they had no way to damage Belle. And whenever leech seed got close to taking out Moshold, Belle would just use pollen puff to heal them back up, prolonging the battle. Of course, that series of crits never came. Every now and then an attack would land, but the damage would be healed up by the time the next one managed to do the same. Belle fell first, struggling until fainting, leaving only Moshold. Mau 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 dash dot. Each of the mice groaned as they hung on to that last thread of health, keeping them from losing consciousness. Until leech seed drained that last bit of health, and Moshold promptly collapsed. Oh, thank goodness it's finally done. Team Fuku and Kyoku are the winners. Ni shouted, sounding completely exhausted. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX so than the battle itself. Fuku was blushing heavily as she covered herself with her hoodie and immediately ran away as soon as the battle was over. Kyoku went to go after her, but Yami put a hand on her shoulder. Not now. Not you. Humph. Kyoku pouted. While part of her wanted to just ignore him and go comfort her big sister, Yami tended to be right about these kinds of things, and so she'd back down. For now. Sometime later, Fuku was hiding underneath the bleachers, huddled up in the fetal position. She'd already gotten the whole "I can't believe I ruined everything, they probably hate me now, blah blah blah" thing out of her system, so she just stayed there, brooding. Eventually, she heard a few footsteps approaching her, and she raised her head up a little to see who it was, and she was surprised to see it was none other than Kiba coming toward her. "Lady Kiba?" Fuku asked. "Hey," Kiba said, as she sat down in front of her. With a calm, reassuring smile. "I know what you're thinking, and no one's mad. But we'd all really like it if you switched out Petey for another Pokemon, okay? That's all. No one's mad." "Oh, okay. Sorry for making everything boring," Fuku said, her voice still quiet and mopey. "I didn't mean for it to end up like that. I wanted to make a Pokemon that was just like a carnivorous plant. So instead of attacking it would be still and drain its opponent slowly. I didn't really think about how that probably wouldn't be super fun to watch. It's fine. We all make mistakes, even me. Just try to make your next Pokemon a bit less stally," Kiba told her. "Okay?" Fuku nodded. "Alright, is it okay for Kyoku to join you, or do you want to be alone for a bit?" Kiba asked gently. "She can come. I'm fine," Fuku said. "I mean, I'll be fine." Kiba's smile widened. "That's the spirit. I'd expect no less from my sister." Chapter 365, It's You and Me. I know it's my destiny. Alright, so after that, exciting battle, we're moving on to the next round. Ni said after an awkward cough. Team Shiruku and Kano versus Team Nara and Alice. Both teams approached the table, and when they met, Alice gave them a polite curtsy, which her opponents returned, leaving Nara feeling a bit awkward as the only one not wearing a dress. "Ladies, I hope this day finds you well," Kano said. "As much as I'd love to give you a proper pre-fight banter, given how the last fight turned out, I think it would be best if we simply got straight to the point." "Right." Everyone agreed, and with that, the battle began. Let's do this, Delphox. Nara shouted as she sent out her first Pokemon. Fox. Delphox let out a proud cry as they raised their wand, ready for war. "Let's have fun, Dinah." Alice called out as she released her Persian out onto the field. Pair. Persian purred, looking smug as usual, as they came out of their ball. "Let's show true beauty, Volcarona," Kano said as she released her own Pokemon. Volcarona cooed as they elegantly popped out of their Pokeball. "Show them our power, Spitups," Shiruku called out as she released the Pokemon. "Dops." Spitups roared, ready for battle. Ready. Let the battle begin. Nis shouted. Volcarnoa, use quiver dance. Stop them with quash. Alice ordered. Volcarnoa was about to flutter around in a beautiful dance, but it was stopped, as suddenly they were shrouded by dark energy, and held in place. Hit them with mystical fire. Nara said, capitalizing on an opening. Block it with silk trap. Shiruku countered. Delphox made a ring of fire in front of them with their wand, before shooting out a massive wave of fire from the circle that rushed toward a helpless Volcarona. But then Spitups dashed in front of them and quickly created a shield made of webs that blocked the flames completely. Once the flames died down, Volcarona was free and finished their dance, boosting their special attack and defense stat, as well as their speed. Come back, Dinah. Immediately Alice recalled her Pokemon, substituting it for her next one. Bit-Bit, let's do our best. Punny. Bit-Bit cheered as they bounced onto the field. Toxic spikes. Shiruku ordered, wanting to punish any more switching shenanigans. Show our new guest your fiery dance. Kano commanded. Dodge it with bounce. Alice countered. Use mystic fire on Spitups. Nara dictated. SPI. Spitups created a bundle of toxic spikes and then tossed them over at the opposite side of the field, where they spread out, embedding themselves on the enemy team's side. But while they were doing that, Delphox created another circle of fire and blasted out another steam of fire at Spitups, this time consuming the Arachnid in a wave of magical fire. Dops. Spitups hissed as they took big, super effective damage and had their offensive stats lowered. Meanwhile, Volcarona performed another dance, gracefully fluttering around, as fire swirled up around them, taking the form of fireballs that launched themselves right at Bit-Bit. In response, Bit-Bit crouched down, before launching themselves high into the air, causing the fireballs to hit nothing but dirt, exploding harmlessly against the ground. Low! Bit-Bit flipped in midair, before coming back down, aiming a super effective dive kick down toward Volcarona. Protect Volcarona with Silk Trap. Shiruku commanded. Dops. Spitups jumped onto Volcarona's head and created another web shield that blocked Bit-Bit's kick, getting a bit of sticky webs onto Bit-Bit's feet, and lowering their speed by a single stage. Pun. Bit-Bit bounced back, landing next to their partner. Let's try this again. Fiery dance on Bit-Bit. Kano repeated. Light screen. Nara quickly commanded. Volcarona once again did their dance, and launched more fireballs at Bit-Bit, and this time they couldn't dodge in time, and the fireball slammed into them, but thankfully, Delphox managed to put up a light screen in the nick of time. Boom! Punny! Bit-Bit cried out as they were sent flying back, landing flat on their back, burns and bruises all over their body, signifying the big damage they'd taken. Meanwhile, Volcarnoa had their special attack increased, once again. Toxic spikes. Shiruku ordered once again. Hit them with mystic fire. Nara shouted. Counter with heat wave, Kano commanded. Dodge with agility, and then give Volcarona a sweet kiss. Alice ordered. Spitups. Spitups once again created a bundle of toxic spikes and threw them down on the enemy's side of the field, all while Delphox readied and fired off another massive stream of fire at Spitups. Volcarona. Volcarona gave their wings a mighty flap, and unleashed a powerful wave of scorching winds that rushed over, ready to engulf the entire other half of the field. Pun. Bit-Bit's body glowed blue, and with a burst of speed, they ran all the way to the other side of the field, barely avoiding the heat wave and getting behind their opponents. Meanwhile, Delphox's wave of fire clashed with the heat wave and was immediately overpowered, as the heat wave consumed the flames, before engulfing Delphox, shrouding them in a wave of overwhelming heat. Fox. Delphox groaned in pain, although thankfully by the time the wave passed, they hadn't taken much damage despite Volcarona's enhanced stats. Thanks to the light screen and type resistance. Meanwhile, Bit-Bit put their hands to their mouth, and blew a kiss at Volcarona from behind, sending a big pink heart flying toward them. Dodge it and use quiver dance. Kano ordered. As the heart came flying toward Volcarona, they dashed to the side, avoiding it in the nick of time, before they once again initiated a dance to raise their stats. Try again. Sweet kiss. Alice repeated. Hit Volcarona with mystical fire. Nara added. Low, Punny/Delphox. Bit-Bit launched a heart at Volcarona from one side, while Delphox launched another torrent of flames from the other side. Push them out of the way and use Silk Trap to block the flames. Shiruku ordered. Spitups rushed forward, crafting a web shield as they ran, before tackling Volcarona out of the way, and throwing the shield up. Whoosh! The flame slammed against the shield, but failed to get past it. Meanwhile, the heart came in from behind and hit Spitups in the back, inflicting them with confusion. As soon as the flames subsided, the girls gave their orders. Volcarona, use fiery dance on Bit-Bit. Kano added. Dodge with bounce. Alice commanded. Mystical fire on Spit-Ups. Nara said. Silk trap. Shuku countered, crossing her fingers and hoping luck was on her side. SPI? Dops. Spit-Ups fought through the confusion and, despite just having used it, managed to throw up another web shield in time to block yet another attack from Delphox. Oh come on, Nara muttered, a bit frustrated at having such rotten luck. Meanwhile, Volcarona did a quick little dance and shot more fire at Bit-Bit. She tried to jump up to dodge it, but the attack was too fast, and the fireball slammed into her, knocking her down immediately and sending her sliding across the dirt. While Volcarona's attack increased once more. Finish them with leech life. Shiruku ordered. Dodge with bounce. Alice shouted. Use bug buzz on Delphox. Kano commanded. Take the hit and hit them with mystic fire. Nara countered. SPI. Spit-Ups fought through the confusion once again and lunged at Bit-Bit, ready to take a bite out of them, but Bit-Bit leaped back onto their feet, and then leapt high into the air, causing Spit-Ups to chomp on nothing but air. Meanwhile, Volcarona started rapidly vibrating their wings, sending out a wave of sound toward Delphox, who braced for impact. Wham! The sound waves hit Delphox like a truck, sending them flying into the wall. Fox! Delphox cried out in pain, even with light screen, such a powerful blow still left it gasping, putting it in the red. Delphox! Delphox raised their wand and quickly cast another mystic fire, sending it flying at Volcarona. Take it and quiver dance. Kano commanded. As the flames rushed toward them, Volcarona simply started dancing once more, and when the flames hit, they simply kept dancing, ignoring the minor damage they were taking, canceling the attack's special attack drop, and increasing their speed and special defense. Meanwhile, Bit-Bit was coming down, right on top of Spit-Ups, ready to land a super effective hit, but then the girls gave more commands. Silk trap. Shuku ordered. And hit them with fiery dance as soon as they land, Kano added. As Bit-Bit came down, Spit-Ups fought through confusion once more and created another web shield, blocking Bit-Bit's kick and lowering their speed on contact. Meanwhile, Volcarona danced, creating more fireballs that went flying, slamming into Bit-Bit and sending her hurtling into the side of the arena, slamming and embedding her into the wall, dealing horrendous damage. Finish them with fiery dance. Kano ordered. Sticky web. Shuku commanded, knowing this would likely be the end for Spit-Ups, but they had done their job more than well enough at this point. Finish Spit-Ups with mystical fire. Nara ordered. Kuruinana. Volcarona performed their dance, sending fireballs rocketed toward Bit-Bit, while Spit-Ups threw down webs on the enemy's side of the field, and Delphox sent a wave of fire toward them. Boom! Both attacks hit, the fireballs exploding against Bit-Bit's body shrouding them in smoke, and Delphox's fire consumed Spit-Ups. When the smoke vanished and the fire faded, both Bit-Bit and Spit-Ups were revealed to have fainted, spirals in their eyes and everything. And another double KO. Ni shouted. But don't think for a second that means they're equal. They may both have 3 Pokemon on each team, but Delphox is 1 attack away from going down. And Volcarona has been powered up beyond belief. It would take a miracle for Alice and Nara to come back from this. Kiba pointed out. She's not wrong, if we can't take out that Volcarona fast, then we won't stand a chance. We'll have to rely on Dinah's assurance to do any damage, but if she lands a single bug buzz on them we're done. Nara analyzed, as Alice and Shiruku recalled their Pokemon, before sending out the next ones. Let's do what we can, Dinah. Alice called out. Let's end this with style, Levany, Shiruku said. Vanny/Precision. Both Pokemon cried as they popped out of their Pokeballs and onto the battlefield. Use Hypnosis on Volcarona. Alice said immediately, knowing that this may be their only chance. Hit them with Bug Buzz before they can try. Kano countered. Use X-Scissor on Delphox. Shiruku ordered. Don't let them close. Mystic Fire. Nara shouted. Pair. Persian looked up at Volcarona, but just as they were about to turn on the hypnotic glow, Volcarona was already sending out waves of sound that slammed into Dinah, sending them flying into the wall of the arena, knocking her out in 1 hit. Meanwhile, Levany rushed toward Delphox. Delphox tried to cast Mystic Fire, but Levany reached them and slashed them with their arm blades, in the shape of a big X across the fox's chest. Delphox stumbled back, dropped their wand to the ground, and then collapsed. Fainting just like their partner. 2 more Pokemon have dropped, but this time they're on the same side. Leaving Alice out of Pokemon and their team with only 1 Pokemon capable of fighting. Ni shouted. Will they attempt to make a comeback, or surrender? We're surrendering, Nara said almost immediately. My last Pokemon is a Meowstic, against bug types. Yeah, we're done here, I'm not pulling an am I. Team Alice and Nara have surrendered, making Shiruku and Kano the winners. Kiba shouted. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX words. You tried your best, don't be too disheartened darling, Kano told them, looking a bit smugger than normal. I'm just glad I got to whip Ken's but before I got eliminated. Nara shrugged, giving her own smug look as she looked over at Ken, who was sticking his tongue out at her. Chapter 366, Pokemon. Oh, you're my best friend. And now we move on to the battle for revenge. With Sheena and Nis versus Inu and Yaba. Kiba shouted. Well, these cutthroat rockstars continue to trample over the triplets' pride? Or will the remaining Cerberus sisters avenge their middle head, and drag their victim past the gates of hell? Both girls walked up to the arena, Yaba glaring and snarling at her opponents like a mad dog. Time for you to pay for what you did, gee. Our Pokemon are gonna tear yours to pieces. Yaba growled. Sis, calm down, it's just a game, Inu told her sister, looking absolutely mortified by her sister's over-the-top aggression. Avenge her if you can. Sheena simply said, before the battle began. Let's tear M to shreds to Mytina. Yaba growled as she tossed out her Pokemon. Might. Mytina barked as they pounced onto the battlefield. Do your best, Steambun. Inu said as she sent out her own Pokemon. Doc. Steambun the Doxbun barked enthusiastically as they jumped right out of their Pokeball. Let's show them beauty, Oricorio. Sheena cried as she sent out her own Pokemon. Core. Oricorio, Ghost, cooed as they danced onto the battlefield. Let's get going, Trace. Nis called out as she sent Dodrio out onto the field. Dryo. The three-headed bird cried out, as they stamped their foot, clawing against the ground, ready to throw some claws. Let the battle begin. Kiba announced. Use Taunt on Oricorio. Yaba shouted immediately. And then hit them with Snarl, Inu added. Use Try Attack on Steambun. Nis shouted, hoping to get a status effect going. Crap, Revelation Dance on Steambun. Sheena hissed, upset at having most of her Movset sealed. Mytina moved its head in a taunting motion, forcing Oricorio into only using attacking moves. Dak. Steambun snarled, letting out a wave of dark sound that slammed into Oricorio, knocking them back, forcing them to flap their wings to stay upwards, and even then, they barely managed, having taken super effective damage and having their special attack lowered. After shaking off the attack, Oricorio landed and started dancing, releasing a wave of ghost-type energy right back at Steambun. At the same time, all three of Trace's heads launched 3 elemental orbs at Steambun at the same time. Boom! Both attacks hit at the same time, creating a small explosion that obscured Steambun in smoke for a few moments before dispersing, revealing them to have taken little damage overall. Wish! Inu commanded. Use Swagger on Oricorio, Yaba ordered. Dodge it! Sheena shouted. Stop them with Lunge. Nis commanded. Yena. Mytina gave Oricorio a swagger-filled stare, and despite Oricorio attempting to look away, they couldn't help but stare, causing them to get confused, and their attack raised 2 stages. Then, just a second too late, Trace rammed their body into Mytina, sending them flying, dealing super effective damage to the K9. Meanwhile, Steambun closed their eyes and sent a little star up high into the sky. Humph, this isn't going to work. Come back, Oricorio, and come out, Frostlass. Shiruku said as she recalled her previous Pokemon and sent out her new one. Lass. Frostlass cooed as they popped out of their Pokeball. Come back, Mytina. Yaba did the same thing. Get out her Arcanine. Nin. Acronine growled as they came out to fight. I see. I think they were trying to bait out Frostlass so they can play around Destiny Bond. Kira pointed out. Once the bread dog is done using Wish, they'll probably switch and try to paralyze both of our Pokemon, then take us out first, then Frostlass. If the paralysis stops them from using Destiny Bond, then that's great, if not. Then it's fine, their other Pokemon can take care of the rest of our team. So what should we do? Nis asked. Our best bet is status effects. Paralysis or freeze can break up their teamwork, and give us a chance to fight back. Otherwise, we're going to be outmatched. Kira advised. So use Try Attack and hope we get lucky. Nis surmised. Essentially. Kira conceded. Focus on the Arcanine. They seem like a bigger threat. If we can freeze, then go all in on Inu's Pokemon. True to her word, as soon as the star came down and Steambun was healed, Inu recalled them and sent out her next Pokemon. Come out, Zappy. Bolt. Bolt. Zappy the Bolton barked as they came out. Blizzard. Sheena commanded. Use Tri-Attack on Arcanine. Knees added. Hide behind Arcanine. Inu ordered. Use Howl. Yaba commanded. Do, Dri-O. One again, each head of Trace shot out an elemental orb at Arcanine, which slammed into the big old doggo, doing a bit of damage to the dog, which was followed up as Frostlass launched their own attack. Lassus. Frostlass screamed as they unleashed a massive blast of harsh, cold wind and jagged ice that would engulf the entire enemy side of the arena. Bolton leapt behind Arcanine, who took the attack head-on, although it didn't do much damage, as its flaming hot body resisted the cold blast. And once the winds petered out, Arcanine let out a loud, attack-boosting howl. Arcanine. Now Zappy use Nuzzle on Frostlass, then Trace. Inu ordered. Stop them with Icy Wind. Sheena countered. And then hit them with Tri-Attack. Knees followed up. Stop them with Extreme Speed, Yaba ordered. Bolt. Zappy ran out from behind their partner and dashed at Frostlass, full sprint. Frostlass tried to prepare an attack to stop them, but Zappy was too fast, and tackled them, rubbing their head against them, while releasing an electric current through Frostlass's body. Lass. Frostlass hissed in pain. The damage was only halfway decent, but the real problem was the paralysis the attack inflicted on them. But that didn't stop Frostlass, as soon as the current died, from backing up and releasing an icy wind that engulfed Zappy, dealing minor damage and covering his body in little bits of ice that would lower his speed a tad. As this was happening, Trace was readying another Tri-Beam, only for Arcanine to ram into them at absurd speeds, doing big damage, and knocking them on their back, sending them skidding back a few feet. Change targets, Knees ordered. Dryo. Trace raised their heads back up and shot the elemental orbs at Arcanine. Boom. 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 Each orb slammed into Arcanine, making small explosions against its body, which made the big dog grit their teeth. And then, static spread throughout their body, making them twitch, signifying they had been inflicted with paralysis. Yes/damn. Knees said while Yaba cursed. Then a second later, Zappy came and rubbed their cheek against Trace, unleashing a super effective eclectic current on them, doing big damage and inflicting paralysis on them too. Yaba paused for a second as she considered her options. Then, her eyes widened, and her lips split into a viscous grin, as an idea came to her. Hey Inu, let's burn that frost bitch to a crisp. Inu simply nodded, trusting her sister's judgment. Zappy, come back and use Helping Hand. Then hit Frostlass with flare bits. Yaba shouted. Zappy rushed back to Arcanine and patted it with their paw, causing Arcanine to burst with power. Destiny Bond. Sheena ordered. Frost. A dark aura shrouded Frostlass as they prepared to take down their opponent with them. Roar. Arcanine shrouded themselves in fire and got ready to charge at Frostlass. When suddenly, electricity coursed through their body, making them stop immediately, and canceling the attack. Shit. Kira swore. She used their own status effect against us. What do you mean? Knees asked. Simple, they go all out and try to hit Frostlass with an attack that's sure to knock it out. And so Frostlass would try to use Destiny Bond. Kira explained. If either one of them got paralyzed, then they're almost guaranteed to knock out Frostlass for free next turn. Destiny Bond can't be used 2 turns in a row, so unless they get paralyzed twice, Frostlass is done for, and they can't even take anyone with them. What do we do? Knees asked. Attack them and hope you get lucky with a critical hit, paralysis, or something. Kira advised. I'm noticing a pattern here with the advice you're giving. Knees pointed out. That's because it's our only chance. If you'd asked me for advice before fighting them, it would have been to build a better team or surrender. Kira scoffed, and Knees could imagine her pouting inside their shared headspace. Drill peck Arcanine. Knees ordered. Dryo. Trace rushed toward Arcanine, their beak glowing, and started slamming it into the dog's side, hitting them with a rapid flurry of pecks that sent Arcanine skidding to the side. Again. Knees repeated. Hit them with Blizzard. Sheena ordered. Flare Blitz/Helping Hand. Yaba and Inu ordered at the same time. Zappy once again gave Arcanine a pat on the side, causing them to burst with power. Roar. Arcanine burst into flames, as Trace rushed toward them, and before Trace could reach them, Arcanine rushed toward Frostlass, causing Trace to miss their attack completely. As Arcanine barreled toward Frostlass, they attempted to conjure up a powerful blizzard, but they were too slow, and before they could even try to launch the attack, Arcanine slammed into them. Boom. Arcanine exploded on contact with Frostlass, sending the lady ghost flying into the wall, having fainted the moment the attack hit her. And Frostlass is unable to battle. Kiba called out. First blood has been drawn, and it's Sheena who's wounded. Will she fight back, or will she go quietly into that good night? Dang it. Sheena sighed as she recalled her Pokemon and sent out her next one. Come back out, Oricorio. Core. Oricorio cooed as they danced back out onto the battlefield. Come back, Arcanine. Yaba immediately recalled her Pokemon, and replaced it. Get back out of her Mightyena. Might. Mightyena barked as they came back out. Use Taunt/Nuzzle on Oricorio. Yaba and Inu ordered at the same time. Darn it. Use Revelation Dance on Zappy. Sheena sighed, knowing she wouldn't be able to use most of her moveset again. Use Lunge on Mightyena. Knees ordered. Bolt. As Zappy rushed toward Oricorio, Mightyena made a taunting motion with their head, once again locking off 3 of Oricorio's moves. UND. Zappy slammed their head into Oricorio and let out another paralyzing, super-effective shock. Ko! Oricorio flew back, grimacing from the pain and the lingering electricity, but even so, the show must go on. And so they quickly performed their little dance, shooting out a wave of ghost-type energy that slammed into Zappy. Bolt! Zappy yelped as it took more damage, skidding back a few feet before shaking it off. Meanwhile, Trace was about to try and lunge at Mightyena, only for paralysis to kick in, stopping them dead in their tracks. I'm starting to think we don't have any real chance of winning this battle. Knees thought. No. Whatever could have given you that idea? Kira replied sarcastically. All right, Mightyena, that's enough for now, get back in here, Yaba said as she once again substituted her Pokemon. Let's wrap things up, Arcanine. 9. Arcanine barked as they once again came back out. Use Helping Hand, Inu ordered. Finish Trace with Flare Blitz, Yaba commanded. Dodge it with Trailblaze. Knees desperately ordered. Stop them with Revelation Dance. Sheena dictated at the same time. Once again, Zappy gave Arcanine a helping hand, boosting their power, and once again, Arcanine's body burst into flames, as they charged toward Trace. Trace was about to try to dodge, only for paralysis to kick in once more, trapping them in place, allowing Arcanine to slam right into them. Boom! Like their teammate, Trace exploded on contact when Arcanine hit them, sending them flying into the wall, making a crater right next to the one Frostlass made, and like Frostlass, they were knocked clean out. But after taking all those attacks and the recoil of 2 Flare Blitz, Arcanine was on its last legs. Oricorio finished its dance, and shot a blast of ghost-type energy that hit Arcanine right in the face, sending them skidding back a few feet in front of their trainer. ARP0/K9 struggled to try and stay on its feet, before inevitably collapsing, spirals appearing in its eyes. And yet another double KO. While Inu and Yaba seem unstoppable, Sheena and Knees show they won't go down without a fight. Kiba shouted. You did your job, Arcanine, we'll finish the rest, Yaba said as she recalled her Pokemon and sent out her other once again. Let's do it, Mightyena. Mightyena popped out for the last time, ready to end the battle. You know, now would be a really good time to surrender. Save us a bit of time. Kira suggested. Oh no. I want to see this through until the end. Knees decided. Well, it's your day to control the body, so do whatever you want. Kira told her. Knees recalled her Pokemon and then sent out her last one. Come out, Scovy. Scovillain. Scovy the Scovillain hissed as they came out at last. Use Swagger on Scovy, then on Oricorio, Yaba ordered. Use Nuzzle on Scovy. Inu ordered. Sunny day. Knees commanded. Use Revelation Dance on Zappy. Sheena commanded. Boltund. Zappy rushed toward Scovy, while Mightyena struck a pose, increasing Scovy's attack by 2 stages and inflicting confusion on them. Then Zappy rammed their head into Scovy, and gave another paralysis-inflicting zap. Although it did practically no damage, but that wasn't really the point anyway. Scovy, instead of creating a fake sun, slammed their red head into the ground, doing significant damage to themselves. Oricorio attempted to finish their dance and launch another attack, only for paralysis to kick in, stopping them completely. This allowed Mightyena to pose at them as well, raising their physical attack and confusing them as well. Good job, Zappy, come back. Inu recalled her Pokemon and brought her Doxbun back out. Let's end this Steambun. Doc. Steambun barked eagerly as they came back out. Use Snarl/Foul Play on Oricorio. The sisters ordered at the same time. Counter with Revelation Dance on Steambun. Sheena knew that this was likely fruitless, but she might as well try. Hit Miguna with Flamethrower. Knees ordered. Bun. As Maitayana rushed forward, Steam Bun opened its mouth and let out a sharp snarl, unleashing a blast of sinister sound at the nearly helpless bird. Oricorio tried to do its little dance, but tripped on their feet in their confusion, face-planting and doing damage to itself just before the snarl slammed into them, sending them flying, and then immediately Maitayana rammed into them, using Oricorio's own increased attack power hit them, sending them flying back all the way to their trainer's feet, with spirals in their eyes. And Oricorio has been sent back to the afterlife, leaving Sheena out of Pokemon, Kiba shouted. It seems to be only a matter of time until Nisa comes to the might of the Hellhounds. You ready to give up? Yaba asked smugly. Nise just crossed her arms and gave her next command. Use flamethrower on Maitayana. Struggle till the end, huh? Fine with me. Wait for Inu, then foul play. Yaba ordered. Take the flamethrower, then hit them with snarl. Inu added. Fighting through paralysis and confusion, Scovy actually managed to launch a stream of fire with its red head, aimed right at Maitayana, only for Steam Bun to jump in front, taking the attack. But thanks to their ability, well-baked body, not only did the fire do no damage at all, but it also sharply boosted their defense. As soon as the flames subsided, Steam Bun released a snarling wave of sinister sound right at Scovy. Dak! Skov! Skvoy cried as the wave slammed into them, making them skid back, doing decent damage and lowering their special attack. Before they could get their wits about them, Maitayana leapt out from behind Steam Bun and ran toward Scovy, their body exploding with dark energy, and then they slammed into Scovy, sending them flying right next to Nise. SC Skov. Scovy groaned before fainting. Scovy is unable to battle. This makes Yaba and Inu the winners. Kiba announced. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX forces with the Cerberus sisters. Meanwhile, Inu gave her opponents a respectful bow. Thank you very much for the battle. You, did pretty good. Our Pokemon were almost all at low health. Well, we didn't embarrass ourselves like Shuku and Lu did, Sheena said, looking on the positive side of things. By the way, how did your real-life fight with Shuku go? We don't have to talk about that. Yaba scowled, her mood instantly souring as she recalled getting blown up over and over again. Hey, thanks for helping me. I know you don't really care about stuff like this, so thanks for giving me advice anyway. Nise told her other self. Not like I had anything better to do. Kira replied. Nise sighed. You could have just said you're welcome, you know. Chapter 367, In a World We Must Defend. Now it's time for the last match before the semifinals. Nise said after returning to the commentator booth. You may want to avert your eyes. Because the amount of positive energy in the ring is blinding. Kiba announced. It's Himiko and Tenko versus Kai and Hanabi. Yeah. The crowd cheered, as both teams walked to the stage, three of them with big smiles on their faces, and Tenko trying his best to not look out of place with his awkward forced smile. Hey guys. Hanabi greeted his opponents, with another fireworks show, as usual. Hi Theory. Kai waved two of his heads around in excitement. Hi. Himiko giggled, unable to resist doing so due to the immense amount of cuteness in front and beside her. Hey. Tenko waved at them sheepishly. You guys ready to battle? Himiko asked them, raising her fist up to show her own enthusiasm. Yeah. Hanabi and Kai shouted at the same time. Well then what are we waiting for, let's go. Himiko shouted. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Dragonite cooed, just as happy to be here as his trainer. You too, Featherstep? Hanabi called as he sent out his own Pokemon. Quack quack. Featherstep proudly puffed out their chest and did a little dance with their feet as they popped out of their ball. Let's give Hex Gruffy, Himiko said as she tossed out her Berserker. Circer. Berserker screamed out. Let's get started, Palafin. Tenko said as he threw out his Pokeball, unleashing his Pokemon. Pea-alaleafin. Palafin cried as they came out of the Pokeball as well. And now, let the battle begin, Kiba announced. Immediately, Tenko recalled Palafin and replaced it with his second Pokemon, Cinccino. Cinccino. They happily cried as they came out of their ball. Featherstep use Feather Dance on Cinccino, Hanabi commanded. Dragonite use Dragon Dance, Kai commanded. Tidy up, Tenko ordered to mitigate the effect of the Feather Dance. Use Metal Claw on Dragonite, Himiko commanded. Qua. Featherstep did a dance and sent mystical feathers toward Cinccino that covered their body, weighing them down and lowering their attack by 2 stages. Sink. Cinchino started sweeping aside the feathers, tossing most of them off, increasing their speed, but only managing to get their attack on stage lower than normal. Drago, Knight. Dragonite chanted, as they did a fearsome, derpy, little dance, that increased their attack and speed by one stage, as Scruffy closed in on them, claws brought together into daggers, and shining with potent silver energy. Circer. Scruffy jumped up, and slashed Dragonite across its extremely large gut, doing practically no damage thanks to multi-scale. Alright, take out Scruffy with Fire Punch. Kai commanded. Give them a helping hand. Hanabi added. Take it, and counter with Shadow Claw. Himiko commanded, before turning to Tenko and whispering. Focus on Dragonite. Cinchino use Rock Blast on Dragonite. Tenko ordered. Qua. Featherstep went over and patted Dragonite on the back, making them burst with power, as Dragonite cocked back their fist, their massive figure looming over Scruffy, as their fist burst into flames. Scruffy raised their arms, to block as best they could, before Dragonite's fist slammed into them. Boom! Dragonite's fist exploded against Scruffy's body, sending them flying back, slamming into the wall. Boom! Scruffy hit the wall so hard, it created a cloud of dust and debris that obscured Scruffy from sight. A few moments passed, and everyone's attention was on the cloud of dust. A powerful, super effective helping hand boosted attack would be devastating, but could it knock out Scruffy in one blow? And when the dust cleared, the answer was clear. Scruffy was still conscious, but only barely, holding on to a slither of health. Their entire body was trembling and covered in burns. Pair. Circer. Scruffy cried as they pulled themselves out of the wall and onto their feet. They stumbled for a moment but managed to stay upright before running toward Dragonite, barring their claws, which coated themselves in a ghostly dark energy. Dragonite, stop them with another Fire Punch. Kai commanded. Drag. Dragonite cocked back their fist, and got ready to throw another punch, only to be smashed in the face with a rock. Then another, then another. Knight. Cinchino, who'd been forgotten thanks to Scruffy pulling all the attention, was now making their presence known, by rapidly forming rocks in front of them, and then shooting them at Dragonite, again, and again, and again, giving Scruffy enough time to rush toward Dragonite, jumped up, and gave them a slash across the throat. Knight. Dragonite cried as they were struck by a critical hit, causing them to skid back all the way back in front of their trainer. Oh no slash yeah. Kai gasped while Himiko did a little fist pump. Finish them with Aqua Step. Hanabi commanded. Qua. Featherstep rushed forward, dancing toward Scruffy, before giving them a powerful kick knocking them to the ground, and knocking them clean out. Quaquaval glowed, their speed boosted by Aqua Step, and their attack boosted by Moxie. Scruffy is unable to battle. But with their dying breath, they managed to land a mortal blow on Dragonite in combination with their partner. Kiba announced. Will they manage to use this to their advantage? Or will Kai and Dragonite make up for their lack of HP with overwhelming power? Knees added. Or will Featherstep sweep the competition instead? You did great, Scruffy, go get some rest. Himiko said as she returned her Pokemon before sending out her second one. Rise and shine, Copycat. Ditto. Copycat chanted before their imposter ability activated, and they turned into a copy of Dragonite. Stat boost and all, but with all of their HP. Finish Dragonite with Rock Blast. Tenko immediately ordered. Dragonite use Dragon Rush on Copycat. Kai commanded. Hit Copycat with Ice Spinner. Hanabi added. Counter with Dragon Rush. Himiko dictated. Diaragon? Dragonite tried to charge up energy for a big charge, only to be interrupted by being bashed in the face with a rock. CI. 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 Cinchino conjured more rocks, and blasted Dragonite with them, again, and again, and again, pleading them with relentless super effective attacks. Meanwhile Copycat actually did successfully charge up Draconic energy, and rushed toward Featherstep, who did a Perut, spinning around while their tail feathers floated around them, generated ice, turning the dancer into a icy buzzsaw that started rushing to meet Copycat's charge. Boom! The two attacks clashed, the sheer power creating a big icy explosion, creating a icy mist cloud. Both Copycat and Featherstep flew out of the cloud on opposite sides, flopping onto the ground, their bodies covered in a fair few wounds. Although it looked like Featherstep came out worse, likely due to multi-scale protecting Copycat quite a bit, even from the 4 times effective attack. QA. Featherstep quickly jumped back onto their feet, only for a sudden and loud thud to be heard close by. Dragonite had fallen, they had taken one too many rocks to the face, and now they were snout down in the dirt, with spirals in their eyes. Dragonite is now unable to battle. A major loss for Team Kai and Hanabi. Ni said. But Copycat won't be able to take another ice-type attack, and if they fall, it'll be a 2-on-1 fight. What tumultuous battle. Everyone, stay on the edge of your seats, because it's still anyone's game. Kiba added. Ah, you did your best, Dragonite, don't be sad. Kai reassured his Pokemon as he returned it to his ball, before sending out their next one. Okay. Let's try just as hard, Hydrapple. Apple. Hydrapple popped up out of its Pokeball. Its several heads peeking out for a moment, before going back in, leaving only one out for battle. At least for now. Let's go! Himiko shouted. Finish Feather Step with Dragon Rush. Counter again with Ice Spinner. Hanabi dictated. Stop them with Bullet Seed. Tenko added. Hit Dragonite with Ficklet Beam. Kai said, to finish off this chain of commands. Drag. Copycat once again built up an immense amount of draconic energy and charged toward Feather Step. Meanwhile, Feather Step began their spin, but as their tail feathers came out, they were all shot down, as Cinccino spat seeds out of their mouth, completely canceling their attempt at an attack, allowing Dragonite to slam into them, sending them flying into the wall, with a cloud of dust and debris obscuring them. Drag. Copycat smirked, silently celebrating their successful attack, but that celebration would not last long. Copycat, look out! Himiko warned. Knight? Copycat looked over at their other opponent and found the main head, having finished charging up energy, before firing a yellow beam out of their mouth, heading right toward Copycat. Boom! The beam slammed into Copycat, exploding on contact, and creating a massive cloud of smoke that obscured Copycat. Feather Step and Copycat have both taken powerful blows. Will either of them be able to rise? Or are they both down for the count? Nise asked. Everyone waited for the smoke to clear. Hanabi bit his lip, and Himiko just stared at the clouds, with a determined glint in her eye. Finally, the dust settled and revealed both Pokemon. And Feather Step was knocked out, and Copycat was on the ground, face in the dirt. But, just as Kiba was about to announce them both unable to battle, Copycat suddenly started to move. And Knight. Copycat moved their arms and started flapping their wings. They struggled, but with great effort, they managed to force themselves back onto their feet. They staggered for a moment, but they kept standing, proving they could keep fighting. And by the skin of their teeth, Copycat manages to hold on, while Feather Step has been left unable to battle. Nise shouted. Even if Copycat can only take on more hit, this puts Himiko and Tenko at a huge advantage. But, once they go down, and they will go down, it will be 2-on-1. Can Copycat make their miraculous survival count? Or will their efforts be for naught? Kiba questioned. Dang it. Sorry, Feather Step, I messed up. But you did your best. Hanabi apologized as he returned his Pokemon before taking out his next Pokeball. Shimmer Scale, I won't let you down. Let's go. Lodic. Shimmer Scale cooed as they popped out of their Pokeball, out and ready to battle. Come back, Cinccino. Tenko recalled his Pokemon before exchanging it for the other one. Let's do this, Palafin. Palafin. Palafin cried out heroically as they exploded onto the scene, now in their hero form. Tenko, after this next turn I'm gonna have to leave everything to you. Himiko told him, giving the boy a reassuring pat on the back and a big, fanged grin. I won't be mad no matter what happens, so don't be nervous, and let's do our best. Alright, big sis. Tenko said, composing himself before giving his next order. Palafin. Use Ice Punch on Hydrapple. Copycat. Hit him with a Dragon Rush for good measure. Himiko added. Knight/Pal. Copycat roared as once again they charged up draconic energy, while Palafin cocked their arm back, coating in freezing energy, and then, they both shot forward toward Hydrapple. Oh no! Fickle Beam. Kai tried to stop them, but he was far too late. By the time Hydrapple started charging up the beam, Copycat and Palafin were already upon them, and both super effective attacks slammed into them, at the same time. Boom! Hydrapple was sent flying into the stadium wall, their head going limp. They passed out the moment the attacks made contact. Before any lamentation or celebration could occur, Hanabi gave his order. Shimmer Scale use Hydro Pump to finish Copycat. Take the attack for them. Tenko ordered quickly. Low. Tick. After taking a deep breath, Shimmer Scale let out a massive blast of pressurized water from mouth, rocketing toward Dragonite. But before it reached its target, Palafin swooped in, taking a guarding stance to protect its ally. The blast of water slammed into Palafin, but heroic Dolphin stood tall against the stream, thanks to its type resistance, and by the time the blast petered out, they had taken only a little damage. Hydrapple was unable to battle, and Shimmer Scale missed their opportunity to take out Copycat. And somehow this is now a 2-on-1 against Hanabi. Kiba announced. It seems like the battle has irreversibly turned in favor of Himiko and Tenko. Sorry Hydrapple, and you too Hanabi. Kai moped as he returned his Pokemon to his Pokeball. It's fine little bro. Even if we lose, at least the battle was a ton of fun. Hanabi consoled, still with a big smile on his face. We're still gonna try our best even if it's hopeless. Right Shimmer Scale? Milo tick. Shimmer Scale cooed aggressively, showing they still had plenty of fight in them. Alright then. Finish Copycat with Hydro Pump. Hanabi ordered. Nope. Stop them with Dragon Rush. Himiko countered. Palafin hit them with Close Combat. Tenko added. Me dash as Milotic took a deep breath, preparing to launch another blast of water. Dragonite exploded with energy once again, and charged forward, slamming into Milotic, interrupting them before they could attack, and knocking the Pokemon on their back. That's when Palafin jumped into the air, leaping above Shimmer Scale, doing a dramatic flip in the air, before plummeting toward them, and then once they got close, unleashed a flurry of punches, absolutely pummeling the poor water noodle, and doing major damage, but lowering Palafin's defenses as not that it mattered at this point. Recover! Hanabi commanded in vain. But Shimmer Scale couldn't focus on recovering, as Palafin continued to pummel them relentlessly. Meanwhile, Copycat flew high into the sky, directly above Shimmer Scale. Alright. Finish it. Dragon Rush. Drago. Night. Copycat screamed as they unleashed a massive amount of Draionic energy from their body once again, before rocketing down toward Palafin and Shimmer Scale. Get out of the way Palafin. Tenko commanded. Palafin dove out of the way, just before Copycat slammed into Shimmer Scale like a meteor. Boom! Dust and dirt erupted on impact, creating a big cloud that obscured everything from sight. A few seconds later, it subsided, revealing Copycat, holding an unconscious Shimmer Scale over his head, with a proud look of victory on their face. Shimmer Scale is unable to battle. Kiba shouted. Himiko and Tenko are the winners. Yeah. Alright. Tenko and Himiko high-fived each other, amidst the cheering crowd. We actually did it together. I thought for sure Copycat was done for, but I guess it's good. Shimmer Scale could only use Hydro Pump. Himiko said, before turning to her opponents, who were applauding them. You two did great, too. If we didn't get lucky with crits and misses we would have lost for sure. Don't undersell yourselves. You won because you two are super great ultra fantastic Pokemon battlers. Hanabi praised. Yeah you two rock, Kai added. Ah you two are so cute. Big sister hug time. Himiko shouted before lunging at the pair, wrapping her arms around them and turning the three into a giggling mess. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Support the writer. Don't forget to like, sub and share.